Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. Glad to have you with us on a show that is brought to you today and every day by our friends over at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. Look, if you are like me and you procrastinated your way all the way up to this impending Christmas holiday and you didn't schedule the family gathering, you didn't schedule the office party, whatever, guess what you can do? You can call Big Willie's, and you can say, hey, we need to do something. We're going to scrap the Christmas party. We're doing a New Year's deal, all right? We're doing a New Year's celebration. And then everyone you invite is going to be like, wow, how conscientious of this person. How considerate to realize that our social calendars are already quite crowded, and to not give us an obligation pre-Christmas was a service. Was a gift. And then you nod, yes, I did that totally on purpose, of course. And just so you know, our Big Willie's New Year's celebration, you're going to have a beautiful pool hall. We'll shoot some pool. We'll do a little tournament with prizes, okay? Any games that you want to watch, upcoming college football playoff games, NBA basketball, NHL hockey. You're going to be able to watch all of these things. Of course, the NFL. And they've got an incredible craft food menu. And these people are going to look at you and they're going to be like, wow, you really thought this out. You really checked all the boxes. And nobody's going to know that you procrastinated your way all the way through the holidays. Call Big Willie's. Get it all scheduled. 1717 South Main. Tell them that OC sent you, as is always the case.
And you can totally play it off like, I told them to bring the pool tables. I told they don't always have them out.
Yeah, like normally the pool hall is locked and not available. But I opened that up for the VIPs.
I told them to put every game on the TV because I knew we had a lot of sports fans, okay? That was me.
Normally they're just watching reality television. It's usually just like Love Island.
And you know what? I bet if you're not a sports fan, if you ma'am or sir are not a sports fan, I'll bet if you asked them they'd turn on the Hallmark channel for you.
You know
play some Christmas movies even after New Year's, after Christmas for you.
It's all just because I planned this.
Absolutely.
At Big Willie's. They actually opened a kitchen just for us. 1717 South Main. Tell them that OC sent you. All right. This is the last live show of the week. We're going to have incredible programming, though, all through the week as you're getting sick of your family and just like, all right, I'm going to go hop in the car and drive around for a while. I'm going to be the person that goes and volunteers to get the extra gallon of eggnog, whatever. We've got classic calls for Christmas Eve and for Boxing Day. I can't believe you put that as Boxing Day.
Hey, it was easier than saying the day after Christmas.
The Kyle Whittingham Best Games. Wednesday at 10 a.m., it'll be the 2022 USC game at Rice-Eccles Stadium. That's Cam Rising's two-point conversion for the win. Pandemonium at Rice-Eccles Stadium. 2 p.m., the 2010 Holy War. That might be my favorite.
Really?
I have such a very distinct memory. I've told this story on the air before. Because that was like Thanksgiving week or whatever, right? I was in Washington, D.C., where my brother lives. We had decided he was the only one in the family with kids back in 2010. So we had gone to see him. The whole family was there. And I was like, I have to watch this Holy War game. So I went down to a sports bar that was like next to the Verizon Center in downtown D.C., and I was battling. The bartender was really cool, and I was like, just the smallest television above the bar, just leave that on BYU, Utah. And everyone's coming in, like Maryland is playing, and like there's, all this other stuff going on.
Yeah, but since when was Maryland any good at football?
Well, when you're in Maryland, effectively, they care about that more. There's all these Big Ten games, and I was like, please just leave that there. And it's made much worse because I don't drink alcohol.
Yes. So you're taking up space at the bar, drinking water or
I'm
something,
taking up
right?
a seat at the bar, literally drinking water and eating wings. And I'm like, I promise you I'm going to tip you. Like, I know that I'm not running up a tab. I know that this is annoying. I'm like, I know how this works. I've worked in bars. So what are you talking about? You don't drink? I'm like, just trust me, dude. Leave it on. So all game long, I'm watching, and I'm just like, the only person in the bar who cares about the game. And not only that, but people would be coming, like, elbowing up next to me. Be like, hey, could you turn this TV to whatever?
No!
Can you put Penn State on it? I'm like, shut up. Knock it off.
Who's Penn State even playing?
Like, I'm like, no.
Rutgers or something?
This is the best rivalry game in the country. And they're just like, okay. So it's just me by myself watching this game. Like, my brother stayed for half of it, and then he left. So it was literally just me watching the game by myself on like a $23 tab to eat wings. And the man kept it on, right? The whole game.
What a guy.
That last, again, it's impossible to really set the stage because it's crowded. It's full. It's people all there for the holidays doing the same thing, kind of escaping their families.
Obviously, a huge college football day. That's rivalry weekend in college football.
And I'm standing there celebrating loudly when Burton, impossible. That is like one of the most difficult, low percentage things that happens in all of football. Blocked field goals, blocked extra points, almost never happen. And when they do happen, 99% of the time, it's because the kick is low and it's the leaper in the middle of the formation that gets a hand on it. It is so prohibitively rare that the rusher bends the edge and gets around the corner and is able to lay out and time it perfectly and not rough the holder, rough the kicker, etc. I mean, that was among the very, very best plays in the history of the rivalry game. So that might be my favorite. And we're playing it at 2 p.m. on Wednesday.
Yeah, so that's Christmas Eve, 2022 USC game, the game at Rice Eccles Stadium, not the Pac-12 championship game, and then the 2010 Burton Block Holy War game. By the way, that's also the beginning of the 9-game win streak.
So the first of the 9 in a row. And then on Friday at 11 a.m., which is, of course, our normal show time, a replay of the 2021 Pac-12 championship game, which, in my estimation, is the absolute pinnacle of Utah football on a national stage.
So bigger than the Sugar Bowl win over Alabama for you.
I think it is, because you were now a bona fide kind of perennial contender in Power 5 football. You had graduated from being the mid-major that you were in the Sugar Bowl, and you were now finally getting the conference championship win that you'd been contending for and you've been climbing toward. And even when you first joined the Pac-12, you were a win away from winning the South, and then, of course, divisions went away, and that didn't matter anymore. But that to me was from when you talk to people that are like not regional fans and didn't follow Mountain West Conference football for obvious reasons, that's when people were just like, okay, Utah. And maybe we'll ask Jeff Schwartz about it when he joins us later on in the show, because
he has fond memories. His Ducks getting destroyed. It's
a very terrible memory for him. But he's an example of the kind of person that I'm talking about, because to be honest, most people outside of Alabama and outside of Salt Lake City don't even think of the Sugar Bowl when we are talking about what an amazing. I mean, more often people will reference the Fiesta Bowl because Alex Smith was the quarterback of that team, and he went on to prominence in the NFL.
Urban Meyer being the head coach.
Urban Meyer was the head coach. It was the very first, right? You have that benefit of being the first mover. You were the first BCS buster. It had never happened before. And by the way, Alabama at that time was not yet Alabama. Yeah, it was Nick Saban's second year.
It was their first year as a national title contender under Saban, but that was John Parker Wilson at quarterback. Not much of a passing game. They were undefeated until the SEC championship game. So if they beat Florida, who won the national championship that year, Utah would have probably played Florida in the Sugar Bowl and Tim Tebow. Anyway, but Florida, I think, destroyed them in the SEC championship. So you're right. It was right before they were national championship dynasty, Nick Saban, Alabama. But you could say, because it was that was their second loss of the season, one loss going into that game, undefeated till the postseason. You could say that was kind of the de facto beginning of the dynasty, but it wasn't quite when they had their championship teams.
And again, this is in reference to the 2021 Pac-12 championship game replay, which is going to happen Friday at 11 instead of our regular scheduled programming. When we talk about it, if you if you ask people like greatest moments in Utah football, not Utah people and not BYU people, because BYU people know, right? Maybe some Aggie fans do too. Like when you think of Utah football, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, Kyle Whittingham, tough defense, et cetera, et cetera. Like, no, the games, the names, the players. Like, give me those people. Strangely, it's nobody from the Sugar Bowl team, right? People don't – like, Brian Johnson is amazing. He's not legendary outside of Utah. He is not someone that people are just like, oh, man, that guy. I remember watching that guy, and what a great, incredible veteran presence he was. What a field general. They don't talk about Matt Asiata. They don't talk about David Reed. They don't talk about – like Paul Kruger was on that team. He was incredible. Koamisi was unbelievable, right? You had a bunch of really, really good players. Your defensive backfield, Sean Smith, Bryce McCain. These guys that went on to very successful NFL careers. But if you ask a sort of neutral party – to name someone from that team that they remember, it's really hard for people outside of the Utah sphere to do that. The Alex Smith team, you can always name Alex. And if you're a little bit more in the know, you probably are at least going to be able to name like Eric Weddle, maybe Morgan Scalley, probably just Smith and Weddle. And if you go to these games we're talking about that I'm referencing here, the Pac-12 championship game, those Pac-12 championship years, like Cam Rising was a cult hero, and people knew it. And the program did a better job of marketing him, and I think maybe most importantly, that you were already in the Pac-12 conference. You were on the national stage. You weren't emerging to the national stage. We know who Tulane's best players are because they showed up in the college football playoff. We know who you're going to see from JMU in the transfer portal because they showed up in the college football playoff. You're not seeing – you don't have a knowledge base of those guys prior to them being in the rankings these final couple weeks. And that's just not how it was with Utah being a contender for a couple years in the Pac-12 and then finally getting over the hump in the Pac-12.
And just one other thought to kind of put a bow on this. One thing that's kind of bugged me is I've listened to Dan Patrick's show and some of the national ESPN radio shows over the last couple of weeks as they're debating whether or not Group of Five should even be in the playoffs. Certainly if there should be more than one, right? All they bring up is they're like, everyone wants to bring up Boise State beating Oklahoma. And Dan said, DP said, that's the only game you can bring up. And I go, wow. That's how the point that you're making, that's just how obscure even that 2008 Sugar Bowl team is, beating Nick Saban, Alabama at some might say the beginning of the dynasty, really a year away from that. Like
what was Boise State's final ranking when they beat Oklahoma?
It was top 10. It was
like
not
7?
As high as Utah.
Utah was the second-ranked team in the country when they beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. And weirdly, it's kind of a blind spot for the national college football fan.
It really is.
And I don't believe that's true of the Pac-12 championship years. Even if you think that the Sugar Bowl team and the Fiesta Bowl team were better teams, and they probably were good enough to beat those Pac-12 championship teams, I would say that the Fiesta Bowl team could beat any team that Utah's ever fielded. For obvious reasons, I'm biased there. But people know more about, not just because of recency bias, but just because you were on the national stage already. You were in that spotlight. You had built your way into, you lost a couple Pac-12 championship games prior to that, and then you got over the hump. So people were aware that you were a perennial contender, and you just, as much as we love the underdog of the mid-major conferences because that's where Utah came from, that's where BYU came from, Utah State is in that role now, it just doesn't resonate with people nationally. And now we have graduated beyond being in those conversations, and you'll find yourself as a Utah fan feeling kind of the same way. Am I really going to watch Mountain West Conference football this week? Am I really going to pay attention to this Sun Belt game? And the answer is no. And then when there's cause for it, when you see Tulane being put into the college football playoff rankings, you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll pay attention to them. And obviously Tulane had the Retzlaff connection, which made people a little bit more aware as well. But anyway, I wanted to start the show today. I put a poll out last night because I was hoping that we could get a sense of how people are feeling regarding one of, I think, is just one of the terrible symptoms of a very sick symptom or a very sick system, I should say, in college football right now, where access to the college football playoff is all that matters to the big teams, where revenue associated with access to the college football playoff and revenue and ratings and donor dollars and all that stuff are dictating virtually everything, as we've talked about ad nauseum. There needs to be, we've talked about this in the past, how college football, Power 4 football especially, would be well served to have like a czar, someone that oversees things, like an authority that speaks for and is a commissioner of the upper echelon of college football.
Uniting, not having 4 different Power 4 commissioners being the most powerful people, one person who's the most powerful uniter of the
Pope of college football that the Cardinals of the Power 4 conference have to answer to, report to. But someone with authority, someone who can say, no. We've jumped the shark here. We need to protect this. We need to stop doing this. We need to maybe let's go back to a single transfer, or maybe let's go back to penalizing transfers. As much NIL as you want, but you got to sit out. After your first transfer, you lose a year of eligibility. Something, right? Some grown-up that is like, all right, litigation be damned. We'll let people tie themselves and the system up in court for years if that's what they really want to do. But college football needs to be restored a little bit to what it was as a national passion and pastime. And that person doesn't exist yet. There's no efforts to point us toward that in college football, not any sincere efforts anyway. But that person would be, I think, necessary to protect us from something that happened and was announced yesterday, that one of the great rivalries, one of the great cross-country rivalries, maybe the best one in college football, is going to be put on pause and potentially gone. The closest continuation of it is 2030. Potential continuation of it is 2030. And look, it's great for BYU because BYU gets the bump of being the alternate replacement opponent for Notre Dame, because Notre Dame USC is dead. And naturally, because I see things more from a Notre Dame lens, I blame USC. And naturally, because of the history that we have here in the state of Utah and the Pac-12 conference and what USC did to that conference, I blame USC for a lot of things. And because we've talked with and about Lincoln Riley now for several years as the head coach of USC, and you've heard behind the scenes what a baby back you-know-what that guy is, that I think that this is a USC thing. And the USC contingent will tell you, well, hold on, we said we would play Notre Dame in week 0, and they said no. That's right. Notre Dame said no to a week 0 game because Notre Dame doesn't play week 0 games, and you knew Notre Dame didn't play week 0 games, and that's why you said that's the only week you could play Notre Dame. It's a strategic thing that we all do when we're trying to win an argument. You pretend compliance, you gaslight, and you say, hey, no. If you really want to go to your parents' house for Thanksgiving, then we're going to leave at 4 p.m. on Thanksgiving to go there. I'm more than willing to go to your parents' house for Thanksgiving, but we got to leave at 4 p.m. And it's just like, what do you mean? Then we're not even there for the meal. Like that. Why are we doing that? Oh, well, I'm just saying I'm willing to go, and now you're the one who's refusing. You're the one who's saying we don't want to go.
My favorite version of this is the playing the board game. You get so in, and I've done this. You get so into the board game and that you do something that's not against the written rules of the game, but it's against the spirit of the rules of the game, right? And you're like, you could have done it too. I wouldn't have been mad if you would have done it. You're just mad because I'm the first one to do it. You had the option.
Someone calls, hey, could you pick me up from the airport? I'm flying in tomorrow. Absolutely. What time's your flight? I land at 1:15 p.m. I can be there at 2:15. Well, that's not helping me. Well, I said I could come pick you up. It's not my fault. I said yes. I said yes, but that doesn't make sense. Functionally, it makes no sense that you would pick me up an hour after I land. That means I'm just chilling there.
Well, just get some food in the concourse there.
Like, we've all done this before, right? Where you offer what you know is kind of an untenable solution, thereby foisting the responsibility of cancellation on somebody else. And that's what USC has done to Notre Dame here. And so everyone in Trojan Nation who looks at things through those ugly tinted glasses, they're just like, yeah, it's Notre Dame who canceled this thing. We all know the rules, all right? USC is in the pursuit of one thing that has been slipping through their fingers for 2 decades now. They're in the pursuit of a national championship that they don't really even believe they can win on merit alone. And the report is that USC was ready to do the compromise, was ready to come to the table and do things the way that Notre Dame asked them to do them. And then they found out that Notre Dame has automatic access to the college football playoff as long as they're in the top 12. And USC said, hey, hold on, we don't have that. Wait a second. Why don't we have that deal? Why do you get a special deal? If we're playing you in rivalry weekend, or we're playing you in November, and that's, ranked team versus ranked team, whatever, why don't we have that? I'll tell you why, USC. Because you are not on the same level as Notre Dame from a national importance standpoint. And that's really, really hard for USC to swallow because they are one of the legendary programs. But nobody has the branding success of Notre Dame. Nobody. Not USC, not Oregon, not even Ohio State. And all those programs, you could make a case, are in the modern era, are more accomplished than Notre Dame.
But absolutely. And I like to think as a Buckeyes fan that Ohio State is the top of the top, right? But they're really not. They're like 3, maybe 4, right? Which is a great place to be, but Notre Dame is 1 or 2 brands and probably always will be. They're probably, yeah.
James, you have a hard time saying it because you're an Ohio State guy.
Must be.
And Ohio State belongs in the conversation.
That must be why are they 1?
Notre Dame, from an awareness and branding and prominence standpoint, is number 1. They have their own special rules. Even Ohio State doesn't have those.
It's true. And I think also the reason why Notre Dame gets that special rule about, hey, you're in the top 12, you're in the playoff, is because they're not in a conference. I think absolutely, and to your point, if USC or Ohio State were independent, they probably wouldn't get those rules because they're not quite as big a brand as Notre Dame. But I think it does help that they're not in a conference to say, you know what, these guys get a little bit more advantage because they have the opportunity to play more high-profile games because they're scheduled automatically. And they get a chance at an extra game in their conference championship game. Notre Dame doesn't have any of that. So, yeah, we'll give you the top 12 thing.
Which, again, it's not fair. Even as someone who grew up loving Notre Dame, they shouldn't have that. Like, from an equality and level playing field standpoint, every special treatment that Notre Dame gets is nonsensical. It really is. But they are Notre Dame. You can shake your fist and yell at the clouds, or you can understand your place. And USC will forever be the school that doesn't really get it all the way, and they killed the Pac-12 because of it. Trace it all the way back to the beginning, follow the money, and it was USC that stabbed the first dagger in and started the bleeding for the Pac-12. That was the real beginning of the end, right? And now USC is looking at everyone else and just being like, well, we thought as soon as we got into the Big Ten that we thought that we'd be a national power that could be in the college football playoff every year. We thought we hired Lincoln Riley. We threw this big bag of money at him, and he hasn't even brought us to a national championship yet. Yeah, USC, because you're soft, and your coach is soft, and I say these things from what I think is a relatively informed perspective, because if you go back to the days when Lincoln Riley was informed that USC was moving to the Big Ten, right? That he was sort of supposed to be this like jack of spades in what was an otherwise very advanced cards game, and they were like, we're already in motion to move to the Big Ten. We need a coach who can win us the Big Ten and a national championship with the extra money we're getting as part of the Big Ten, et cetera, right? But that's not the world Lincoln Riley signed up for, and that's not the world that Lincoln Riley came from when he was putting Oklahoma in all these important games. Because Oklahoma was a dominant force, a blue blood program in a Big 12 conference that didn't have much else. And
even when he was coaching, Texas wasn't anything.
And
it was just
right.
Oklahoma.
It was just Oklahoma.
And the Bedlam game was always
State
crazy.
Was really good. Kansas State was very respectable, and that was pretty much it, right? And so he goes to USC thinking, I got to beat 4 teams in the Pac-12 conference. I got to worry about Oregon. I got to worry about Washington. I got to worry about Utah, and I got to worry about Stanford, because those were the programs. And Stanford was already beginning its slip and slide, by the way. So maybe he said, instead of Stanford, maybe he said, I got to beat UCLA because they're my crosstown rival. And everyone else is going to fall into line. But those are the programs I got to reckon with. And USC is looking down at all of them. That's what Lincoln Riley thought he signed up for at USC. And then the reality of the situation was, the university president had already been working behind the scenes to get USC into the Big Ten Conference, to drag little brother UCLA along with it, to destroy the Pac-12 conference in the process. And the head coach, famously, if you listen to the apocryphal stories, spent a day seeing if he could get out of his contract, profanity-laced tirades, freaking out about the idea that now he was going to have to compete with the national powers that he had never had to deal with in a regular season ever.
I said it when it happened nationally. It was like, USC's going to be a power in the Big Ten. I'm like, they're going to be 4th or 5th place every year, because Ohio State's always going to be near the top. Michigan most years is going to be near the top, especially if they nail this head coaching search, Kyle Whittingham. Penn State is going to always near the top. Matt Campbell's a good coach. That shouldn't change. Like, maybe USC slides in there. Maybe they're behind a little bit of that. And Oregon's always going to be good. They've shown they're always going to be good, even in the Big Ten year.
This is before they knew Oregon was coming to the Big Ten, and before they knew Washington was coming to the Big Ten. But still, you're looking at, okay, so you name the big 3, right? And then you're looking at, like, Iowa's always pretty good and kind of a tough out. Wisconsin, any given year, can be a problem. Michigan State is in a mess right now, but you didn't think that was going to be the case, right? And you had no idea that Indiana was going to be what Indiana is now. So
yeah, now it's like you're playing for 5th or 6th USC, because Oregon joined and Indiana's now a power.
So whether you believe it was Notre Dame or USC, or whether they're equally at fault, the important thing here is that, again, the adults in the room, these fictitious characters that I keep referring to on this show, have forgotten what makes college football special and unique. If you want college football to become NFL light, to become minor league NFL, you will eventually turn off the fan bases. You will eventually lose your status. You will eventually lose your place in the fabric of American sports culture. If all you become is a developmental league for the NFL with no respect to the home fans, no respect to the traditions, no respect to the rivalries, then you're just going to be a lesser version of the NFL. And how have we treated lesser versions of the NFL in America for 50 years now? You give them kind of a shot. You turn them on for 2 weeks. You realize exactly what they are as lesser versions of the NFL. And then you're just like, all right, I don't need this. That's what happened to the UFL, the AFL, the XFL, the USFL. I mean, they're just, if you create this model where tradition and history are no longer respected, even with scheduling, then at some point the fan base, will I ever be out on college football all the way? Realistically, no. Probably not. But as the 21-year-old fan that used to be indoctrinated through games like USC Notre Dame, through games like Bedlam, through games that are now through the Civil War game, through games that now are either de-emphasized, made unimportant, or completely gone, if those people do not have that sucking them in and don't have the road trips with their buddies, they're Oregon Duck students, and they got the road trip with the buddies to go to Palo Alto and to drive down the coast to USC. I guess you could still do that in the Big Ten, or to get on a short flight and see what it's like at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Because when you're in college, you're not going to Rutgers, and you're probably not being able to afford traveling across the country to the shoe most of the time. I mean, it's just, you have to respect what got us here as college football fans. And USC and Notre Dame and the television networks and the College Football Playoff Committee have set up a system where now it's just pointing fingers at each other. Well, you're the reason it's gone. But the main point is it's gone. And it doesn't benefit anybody. All right, we got to take a break. Gordy Chiesa is going to join us next. We'll talk a little NBA basketball. Jonathan Tavernari, JT, is going to join us for Red and Blue on the basketball side of things today. Jeff Schwartz a little bit later in the program. It's a Tuesday on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. At Christmas time, this song means Gordy Chiesa is coming on. He's our NBA expert. He's a friend of the program. He's brought to you by our friends at Aladdin Industries. Gordy Chiesa, welcome back. How are you, sir?
I am doing fine, Sean. Thank you. And thanks for the introduction as far as Feliz Navidad to all our friends, including yourself and James Pearson, and all the people in the building, and also all our fans around the state watching us and listening to us all the time.
I will echo that sentiment, Gordy. Jazz Grizzlies tonight at the Delta Center. What do you expect?
I expect the Jazz to win and bounce back from last night's tough game against the Denver Nuggets. The Grizzlies are banged up, Sean. Like all teams are, I get that. But these guys are extremely banged up. So they have 8 guys out. I'm not going to list all of them, just the key guys. So the Grizzlies are missing 8 guys in the lineup, including John Morant and Zach Edey. And so they're both out, and they're now playing a guy named Ty Jerome, who they signed with the Cavaliers, who played very well for them last year, has not played a minute this year for them. So I expect the Jazz they got back around probably 2 o'clock this morning. Also, so did the Grizzlies. They played last night at OKC where they lost. They lost by 19 points. So I expect the Jazz to really play well. How do you play well, Sean? Is guard the three-point line. The Jazz last night versus Denver, you saw the game where the Jazz allowed 24 made three-point shots. So that tells us that the line of defense on the ball was getting beat all the time, and that the Jazz are slow to rotate. So tonight's game should be the opposite. Should be better defense on the ball and also fire out to the corners. They challenge a three-point shot.
We've talked a lot about the role that three-point shooting plays in NBA basketball now, in basketball at every level now. Are teams better at defending perimeter shots and better at defending the three-point shot than they ever were?
No. Sure, unfortunately, no. And the answer is because, well, a lot of times the shooters defend themselves because guys are taking ill-advised three-point shots. So a lot of times it's deceiving, where, hey, so-and-so's defense, meaning as a group, was really good. And the answer is it really wasn't, just that the people taking shots because they're not ready to be mentally shot makers, and they fling them up. So the answer is absolutely no. But the better teams do. In other words, it all starts on ball containment. So you've got to be able to guard the ball and not get beat recklessly so easily off the dribble, and that compromises your defense. So the Jazz have to improve that. They struggled last year, and right now the Jazz defense, they allow the most NBA three-point shots made per game. So they're ranked number 30, and they've got to try to correct that.
Gordy, we're coming up on Christmas, and the NBA kind of owns Christmas from a sporting standpoint. Let's talk about your favorite NBA Christmas story, the best game you've seen, maybe the best player performance, because if you read some of the articles or you read what people say about it, it's like folks at the NBA are appreciative of the stage that you get on Christmas, but of course you're missing Christmas, or your Christmas plans with the family are compromised. So sounds like there's a little bit of a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, very much also. But TV loves it because think about it. It's the casual fan. So, Sean, it's like Super Bowl Sunday, where even people don't really follow the NFL, which I know is hard to believe, but some people don't, is that they'll watch the game as almost like as a spectator. And that's also on Christmas Day, where the NBA has 5 games, and it's absolutely critical as far as them popping up as far as on the screen to generate, besides revenue by the sponsorships, but also the casual fan. And so it's a huge factor. And also from a player standpoint, it's really a great way to grow your individual brand and your platform. And that a lot of times what these guys do, Sean, they break out new sneaker brands. So suddenly their signature sneaker, they'll wait until Christmas Day to show it on the air. And also a lot of times the teams, they have new jerseys too, specially made jerseys for Christmas Day. So it's really happening. We call this the Santa Claus Day, meaning as far as the games. And my memory bank of in Jazz basketball, Sean, is that the Jazz have played 8 times on Christmas Day, both in New Orleans and also as a franchise, and also the Jazz. They're 6-2 in those games. The last time the Jazz played on Christmas Day was 2021, where they beat the Dallas Mavericks at home. I remember when I was coach for the Jazz for 16 years that we played the Houston Rockets back in 1997. So the 97-98 season, that was the year the Jazz lost for the second time in a row to the Bulls for the World Championship. Our team was able to beat Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler and those guys at home, and that was a tremendous win for the Jazz. So it doesn't matter for the coaches and the players. It's a big thing, however you away from your family. Last point about that. Often, though, on Christmas Day, the teams fly the whole families on a charter to be with their loved ones the day before Christmas. So that's an important factor also.
I'm reading about ESPN's got an interesting article about exactly this, about how the time of day that you play that game also kind of really affects. Because if you're the last game of the day, coaches and players don't like being the last game of the day because then you got to wait around all day. Game's over late-ish, and your Christmas is over. If you play earlier, right, then as soon as the game's over, you can schedule the festivities, you can do the dinners, you can do whatever else. But being the last game of the day sounds like it would be a little bit of a pain.
Yeah, very much. And with that said, that game will be in Denver, Minnesota at Denver. So that's the last day of the day for Christmas Day. And so those guys are going to wait a long time. So Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, who the Jazz played last night against Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and that crew with Minnesota. So they did that purposely. And so it's the star power. So the first game is Cleveland at New York. So Donovan Mitchell, New Yorker, goes back to play in the Garden. Then another heavyweight, Dallas versus Golden State. We know about Steph Curry, all the crew, Jimmy Butler, but more importantly right now, Cooper Flagg. And then here's the mother of all games, Sean, San Antonio at Oklahoma City Thunder. So the Spurs versus the Thunder. So now we're talking all the young stars in the NBA, Wembanyama, Stephen Castle, Chejos Alexander, Chet Holmgren, all the guys, Jalen Williams. So that's the game that's star power. And then Houston Rockets versus the L.A. Lakers with LeBron. LeBron, as far as, and Luka Doncic, I think, is not going to play. So it'll be LeBron almost by himself because Austin Reeves is hurt also right now. So the Rockets with Kevin Durant and those guys. So it's a happening for every level. It's a coming out party for the NBA and for the players. Even though they're missing Christmas, they're going to try to be with their families either before Christmas Eve or later on during the day.
Gordy, big picture stuff here. What do you think of the recent proposals to combat tanking in the NBA? The bullet points are, they could limit pick protections to either top 4 or 14 and higher, because the mid-lottery projections being, or protections, I should say, being kind of strange. A rule to potentially not allow a team to draft in the top 4 2 years in a row. I don't know how you pull that off. And then locking lottery positions before the season is over to prevent, late season tanking. What do you think of these?
The first one I like. The number 2 and 3 I don't like. So number 2 you mentioned about as far as you can't pick in the top 4 2 years in a row. And that's absolutely, they'll never get through as far as the committee. Never. As far as, the committee means what? The NBA ownership, the board of governors. And the last one you mentioned before about as of March 1st, that's when you lock in. And they're trying to have the players not miss games, but they'll miss games anyway after March 1st. And also it's the integrity of doing it right now. See, the problem right now is I have no problem player missing game if he's injured. But if the guy's not injured, and that's what happened over the years, the last 10 years, is that everybody was resting people, and the NBA TV partner says, wait a second, we're not paying billions of dollars for the star players to rest with our production right now. The first one, it affects the Jazz, Sean, also in the present tense. So I'll read it to you, that is that either being in a top 4 pick or top 14 projection instead of the mid-level as far as mid-level lottery. So, for example, 1 through 4, if you finish, it's okay. but 4 through 14 is that it's not okay, and that there's no protection then when you make a trade. So you make a trade a year earlier, it's protected 4 through 14. Now it's not anymore, and that would affect the Jazz. The Jazz are protected this year, Sean. They have 1 through 8, but wherever they finish is that they're going to get their pick. The 9th pick goes, if they finish 9, it goes to the OKC Thunder. So that's the one that affects the Jazz. And again, it's all based on teams losing on purpose. And that's a factor that the NBA is trying to eliminate or definitely slow down.
They also talked about trying to protect insider information more successfully because of, some of the gambling stuff that's happened with leaks being out there. Hey, so-and-so's not going to play. Hey, bet this on this because this guy's not available or whatever. Is there a realistic way that you can be even more careful about team-sensitive injury information leaking to really? I mean, I would say the public, but really it's to gamblers.
The answer is yes. They'll do more education about it. It's always been a factor. So, for example, you're a player or a coach, and one of your best friends, your next-door neighbor, you see every single minute of the day, but you don't know if he's what kind of gambler he is. He says he's very innocently, is so-and-so playing tonight? And you say he's out. He didn't play in the walkthrough. He's not going to play. So suddenly he doesn't bet, maybe perhaps, but one of his friends bet, and he tells that person casually. So it's almost like a third party, and that person bets on the game. So the answer is even your best, closest buds, you can't tell if so-and-so is injured not playing that night. So it's more education and absolutely more alertness and awareness that people are well-intended. You just can't say it.
Gordy, what's the list today?
All right, list today, Sean, is about Christmas, Santa Claus, your favorite holiday besides Valentine's Day. Here we go. What are you laughing at? Sure, I know you're a budding romantic.
I don't
emphasize budding.
I don't know if you got good information on that one, Gordy, but I do love Christmas.
No, I can sense it. I can sense your love of your wife and your family, and also your love of James Peterson too, I might add. It's the list today, Sean, and for the listeners, the all-time career scoring leaders for Christmas Day games, all-time career Santa Claus games.
All right.
Number 10 all-time, Walt Bellamy, 237 points. He played in Christmas Day 9 times. Number 9, Dolph Schayes, 239 points. He played in Christmas Day 13 times. Number 8, Shaquille O'Neal, total points 272. He played in 13 Christmas Day games. Number 7, James Harden, 273 points. He played in 11 Christmas Day games. Number 6, Russell Westbrook, with a total of 288 tallies. He played in 13 Christmas Day games. Number 5 all-time, Dwayne Wade. He scored 314 points, 13 Christmas Day games. Number 4, he's going to play on Thursday, Kevin Durant, 4th all-time, 342 career points on Santa Claus Day, 12 Christmas games. Number 3 all-time, Oscar Robertson, 377 points in 12 Christmas Day games for an average of 31.4 points per game. Number 2, all-time greatest ever Christmas Day scorer, Kobe Bryant, 395 points. He played in 16 Christmas Day games. He averaged 24.6 points per game, and the number 1 player of all time to play ever on Christmas Day. This will be his 20th appearance when he plays for the LA Lakers on Thursday, is LeBron James. LeBron has scored 507 Christmas Day points. He's played in 19 times already. He's averaged 25.1 points per game. His record, so with 19 times he did it, be 20 on a Thursday. His record as far as winning, 11 wins, 8 losses. Thus, that's my Christmas Day list of the year. But also add to that, the greatest ever points single game by a player on Christmas Day was Bernard King. He scored 60 points on Christmas Day versus arch rival the Nets back in 1984. And by the way, he scored 60 on Christmas Day, and his team did lose, though.
LeBron James has played how many Christmas days in a row?
19.
That's insane. he's got kids who have never had like a Christmas day without dad working on Christmas Day.
Right, very much. And also, so they're doing a story right now about Bronny James growing up with his dad playing on Christmas, and also Steph Curry also talking about his dad, Del Curry, on Christmas, when he was growing up, he was playing also. And so it's interesting how both as a player talking about their dads playing on Christmas.
Gordy,
that's showing, in the NFL is that it's Thanksgiving Day with the NFL rules.
Yeah, of course.
On Thanksgiving Day. So it's all part of television. This is a reality. Everybody turns a TV set on, maybe not all day long, but they're watching games in between eating and talking about what's going on.
Are you prefer a white Christmas, Gordy, or you okay with no snow on Christmas Day?
No, white Christmas, absolutely. I'm not a scientist, but right now it's outside. What it's about 58 degrees outside. It's crazy.
It's a little bit strange.
Yeah, white Christmas, and with Christmas also, the Jazz historically, they don't do it recently, but historically we used to always play on a pre-Christmas East Coast road trip. So my memory bank of Christmas, Sean, was also getting at 3 o'clock in the morning from Toronto or Cleveland, either on December 23rd or the 24th, after being a 5 or 6 or 7 game road trip. And that was done purposely by Frank Layden when he was general manager. He requested the NBA schedule makers that the Jazz always wanted to play pre-Christmas away so that they would be home on Christmas Day not playing. So all the players that lived in the East Coast, say in Atlanta, Georgia, or New York, after the last game, whether it was Cleveland or Toronto or Boston, they would go literally the midnight flight to get home for a day and a half and then fly back. And we always practice at 5 o'clock on December 26th, after the day after Christmas, and play most times on the 27th. So that was smart by Frank Layden. And generally speaking, Sean, the Jazz played great on that road trip. If it was 6 games, maybe 5-1. If it was 7 games, maybe 5-2 as far as winning.
Gordy, have a Merry Christmas. Appreciate your time as always.
Thank you. Peace out. Stay well.
Little Christmas peace out from Gordy. All right. We'll take a quick one here. Look, definitively, without any argument, I have narrowed down the top 5 Christmas movies of all time and the top 5 Christmas songs of all time. And I will hear no pushback on any of these, all right? Or get your fingers ready, 877-353-0700. The Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. I mean, those are the dulcet tones of Bing Crosby. You probably knew that already. This is the number one Christmas song on my list at Real OC Sports. And it is a list I will not hear any argument on, okay? I did the top 5 Christmas movies and the top 5 Christmas songs. This is song number 1. Number 2, Joy to the World. Okay, come on. Got to get some hymns in there. Number 3, Run, Run, Rudolph. Number 4, White Christmas. Maybe I just really like Bing Crosby is what I'm learning.
I mean, who doesn't this time of year, really? It's like Bing Crosby, Mariah Carey, and Michael Bublé. It's like, how do you not like those 3 this time of year?
Number 5, Little Drummer Boy, the David Bowie, Bing Crosby duet. It is incredibly unlikely, and it is a beautiful song. Honorable mention goes to Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues. I don't know. It's not incredibly popular in the United States, but the singer of this song died like 5 years ago around this time of year, and so they were just bumping it like crazy. And it is I like songs that are, the storytelling songs, Horse with No Name kind of thing. And that one's about a guy who wakes up on Christmas Eve in a drunk tank jail. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And sings.
Couple on that theme, 2 of the better storytelling ones. One's very much a kid's song, but still fantastic. The Royal Guardsman, the Snoopy and the Red Baron.
Yeah. Okay.
Christmas Bells, I think, might be the name of it. Might be something else. It was storytelling about Snoopy versus the Red Baron there. Okay. And then have you heard Garth Brooks' Silent Night, where he tells the story of the German soldiers and American soldiers? I think it's called the Christmas ceasefire in World War I.
When they played soccer on the field between the trenches.
Yeah, they stopped the trench warfare for Christmas, and they ate and played. It Garth Brooks nails it with his version.
I don't think I've heard that. I want to hear that.
He does a narrative story. He doesn't sing the story. He tells the story, and then he sings Silent Night interspersed throughout it. It's fantastic.
Oh, I like that. Frosty the Snowman, also an excellent narrative song.
Yes.
It tells a good story.
Absolutely. Just watched the cartoon, by the way, for the first time in a really long time.
My list of Christmas movies has already gotten a significant amount of pushback on Instagram and on Twitter. Number 5, I'll go backwards this time. Number 5, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the stop-motion one. You know what I mean? Yukon Cornelius.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be on our TVs all day. I think they start at Christmas Eve, right? Or is it just on Christmas that they do that? Anyway, coming up soon.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is an absolute classic.
Fantastic.
It's such a classic that another movie on this list copied the animation style for portions of another movie on this list. Okay. Number 4, The Holiday. I know this is a modern. It's not exactly a classic.
Holiday's fantastic.
Tell me that movie comes on and you can physically make yourself turn away from it. You can't.
Incredible movie. Jack Black does it's one of his rare, like, mostly serious roles, but he's also in like a normal way funny. Nails it.
You will never find a movie where the lead actors are more charming on every front.
Totally agree.
Kate Winslet makes you fall in love with her. Cameron Diaz, I mean, I don't know how old she was when they filmed that movie, but just like, it's like The Mask all over again, where you're just like, whoa, who's that?
Yeah.
And Jude Law is criminally handsome, all right?
Every woman in your life loves The Holiday, and they all will point out, I love Jude Law. They will.
Number 3, White Christmas. Just an unbelievable Christmas classic. Speaking of Bing Crosby, I think Bing Crosby's heavily influential here in my Christmas lore. White Christmas, great movie. It's got all the themes: love, romance, music, war. It's all in there in White Christmas.
Christ-like charity, whatever. Yeah,
incredible. Number 2, Elf. One of Will Ferrell's greatest performances.
Is this the one you're talking about with the
Elf.
animation? I was gonna joke that's what I was gonna make that joke, but you're serious about that.
Hey, buddy. Hope you find your dad. The narwhal and all the other North Pole creatures are done in the animation style of Rudolph the Red-Nosed
The
Reindeer.
Arctic puffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then number one, and if you're not a fan of R-rated movies, you can't really watch this one, but Love Actually is just a perfect Christmas movie. A little bit of everything for everyone. Love stories of all types. And they're all juxtaposed against one another. They're all linked. The characters, you don't even really find out until later on in the movie that so-and-so is the brother of so-and-so, is the ex-wife of so-and-so. It's great. An amazing movie. Incredibly well written.
Also, how can you not like Hugh Grant?
Hugh Grant also, in that movie, the only thing I don't like about it, but you got to accept it, they make the American president kind of the villain of the Hugh Grant story.
Yeah.
But Billy Bob Thornton plays an excellent, lecherous president.
He does. He does.
So it kind of like his performance, you're like, yeah, that actually makes sense.
It's true. I didn't realize, I watched Love Actually for the first time a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was like the original of like, I think Valentine's Day was the next one with the ensemble, like
just all
no
the
one's
stars.
really a star, but we're all A-list stars in this intertwined storyline movie.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was the original one, and it happened to be a British film.
2003, just peak British cinema that is just totally mainstream, incredible, well-written, well-executed.
And it launched a bunch of other ensemble A-list star movies.
I mean, Liam Neeson's in it.
That's true.
Emma Thompson's in it.
Who's the guy who plays Bilbo in The Hobbit? And he's a main character in it as well.
He's what's his name? Colin Firth is in it, although Colin Firth is not who we're thinking of here.
Colin Firth also fantastic. Anyway, the guy who plays Bilbo.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
He's an Avenger
Martin
too.
Freeman.
Martin Freeman's
in it.
He's all over the place particularly ever since the Hobbit movies. He's in the Black Panther films.
Keira Knightley's in it.
Yeah.
Chiwetel Ejiofor's in it. There's just all these people that are huge actors that are in that movie as kind of bit parts that all fit. Who's the guy, the sheriff of Nottingham, Alan Rickman?
Oh, yeah.
Severus
That's
Snape.
right. Shout out to Alan Rickman, legend.
He's in it.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. So, yeah, that's the best. That's the list of best Christmas movies. The honorable mention go to The Grinch, the Jim Carrey edition, which this is all a product of my marriage. My wife's family, all of them love this movie.
It's fantastic. Why? How can you not?
Like, it's good, but they love it in a way that is, like, almost obnoxious.
Yeah.
But because they reference it so often and they watch it so often,
it's in there.
It's like wormed into my brain, and now I kind of like it. It kind of like feels Christmassy to me, and my kids love it because of my wife's family, so now I love it too.
Yeah.
And then Gremlins, man. Gremlins is the most underrated of all Christmas movies because people don't realize it's a Christmas movie.
I didn't realize that. Also, on that theme, did you realize? I didn't realize till we started the show. For some reason, I was thinking of this. Do you realize Hook is a Christmas-themed movie, at least at the beginning?
Is that true?
The baseball Little League baseball game that he misses because he's a workaholic is called what, OC? It's called the Santa series.
Okay.
And they're visiting Granny Wendy for Christmas.
All right.
Isn't that amazing? I didn't even realize that till it's like
that.
Die Hard is a Christmas. Hook is a Christmas movie the same way Die Hard is. There you go.
Somewhat 7516 says explanation for the exclusion of Home Alone and Die Hard from the list. Look, Home Alone.
That's true. That I don't know how that's not on your list.
Hold the phone here. All right. You can't just put every great Christmas movie on the list.
It's only
a top
five,
right? The problem with Home Alone is even in the era pre-cell phone, it's just too easy to fix those problems. You know what I mean? Like,
it's your wire take coming back.
Well, Kevin McAllister just like has no viable neighbors that he can ask for help.
Well,
really?
He's got the scary old man who he thinks is a murderer.
Okay. That's the only neighbor that exists in his affluent Chicago suburb neighborhood. By the way, in a time when we actually knew and talked to our neighbors, it's just too easy to fix all those problems in Home Alone. So I never was able, even as a kid, I was never able to get on board with it.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, the old man neighbor is not a murderer. I know.
3548 says the holiday. I'm losing a little bit of respect for you, OC. Come on, man. Excuse me?
It's not in my top 5, but it is undeniably a great Christmas movie.
Look, I will stand on the principle of that. I will die on the hill of the holiday. It is a completely you could watch that movie in June and still enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. Is it time for me to reveal my hilarious guilty pleasure Christmas movie again?
Yeah, go
I'll
for
Be
it.
Home for Christmas, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Jessica Biel. You gotta
All right, I'll watch anything with Jessica Biel.
Seventh Heaven era Jessica Biel, Home Improvement era Jonathan Taylor Thomas, going way back.
All right.
It's I can't help but like that movie.
All right, that's fine. Christmas in the Trenches says 2986. Originally written and performed by John McCutcheon. That is the Garth Brooks one you were.
Oh, okay. Christmas in the
Christmas
Trenches.
in the Trenches.
There you go.
Thank you. 2986.
I've
and
only
Merry
heard-
Christmas to you.
I've only heard the Garth Brooks version. I'm going to have to check out the original.
I just got a text from. Okay. All right. Spence Checketts just texted this, not to the text line because he's too good for our text line, but to my personal cell phone. The holiday is an atrocious piece of cinema. All right. You know what, Spence?
I don't think he likes joy, OC. I don't think he likes feeling good at Christmas.
I think that's somebody who's feeling a little grinchy about the concept of true love.
Yeah.
You know? True love at Christmas time.
It's all right. He'll feel better about that at some point, and then he'll love the holiday. Yeah.
0196, Christmas Vacation is the end-all, be-all for me. Muppet Christmas Carol is one that came in a couple of times to me. That's coming in from 0303. Look, Christmas Vacation, a little bit risque in parts. I was not allowed to watch that when I was a kid, and so I did not develop the same affection for it.
It's not as risque as the other vacation movies, but there's at least one part in
It's also not as risque as Love Actually, but that came out when I was an adult.
Good point.
There's full on nudity in Love Actually, which is crazy for a Christmas movie if you think about it.
Yeah.
There's probably only like 3 Christmas movies that have that. Anyway, love hearing from you. 877-353-0700. If your opinion is to deride the holiday, I don't love hearing from you. Okay. We're way over time. We'll start hour number 2 with JT. Jonathan Tavernari joins us for some Red and Blue on the Sean O'Connell Show. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Here's a great way to test whether or not Run Run Rudolph is one of the greatest Christmas songs of all time. Play it to a room full of people who've never heard it before. Watch them start moving. All right? Just watch them. Welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show. Time for some red and blue. We go behind enemy lines. We talk a little BYU athletics with our BYU Insiders, brought to you by Murdoch Ford Santa Quinn. They've got over $8,000 off right now on Ford F-350s. If you're looking for a big truck, also 0% financing on the F-150s. Great time to get into a Ford. Take advantage of the best pricing of the year before the end of the year, all the way down there in Santa Quinn at Murdoch Ford. JT, Jonathan Tavernari, is kind enough to join us this week as our BYU Insider. JT, how are you, sir?
I am fantastic. Talk about being behind enemy lines, my friend. Santa Quinn, my goodness gracious. That is Cougar country through and through.
It's all the way down there, man. Like, people who go down to take a test drive, they have to just brave the, going all the way through Utah County to the south reaches and seeing all the BYU flags, all the BYU stickers on cars. But it's worth it for some of the great deals down there at Murdoch Ford.
Hey, man, I totally get it. It's almost like, Utah fans going to Utah County as they see a Y on the mountain. It's like Frodo and Sam, staring at Mordor. You know what I mean? And so I get it, man. I totally get it.
That's exactly right. I want to ask you something. I keep hearing stuff about, potential number one pick, A.J. DeBonsa. Likely top pick, A.J. DeBonsa. A guy who could eventually be one of the top picks in the NBA draft, A.J. DeBonsa. And when I watch A.J. DeBonsa play, I'm looking at it and going, why are we saying potentially? This dude is going to be the number one guy. Am I wrong in that assessment?
So not to sound like a complete homer, I do understand why people say the same thing about Cam Boozer. And have you had a chance, Sean, to watch Cam Boozer this season?
I've only watched like 8 minutes of Cam Boozer, I think.
Yeah, and so I get why they say the potential number one pick because, in all fairness, Cam Boozer is playing like a Derek Favors, DeMarco's cousin type of player right now in terms of he is efficient, he is solid in the low post, he's unstoppable. So I understand why people say potential because you're never going to know how that ping pong ball drops, right? I get it. And so, but to your point, Sean, you have games last night. I was working that game with, our family of networks, ESPN, and he has a 30-point triple-double with 33 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and you go, like, who in their right mind, what in the Nico Harrison are we doing here if not saying that he is the unanimous number one pick? And so I agree with you. Being present yesterday as all of that unfolded and, to an interesting perspective, I know we're going to talk a little bit more on the show about how BYU, played Eastern Washington compared to how Utah did. But the last couple of games, AJ has had to put BYU on his back almost for them to win a game against a lesser opponent. But nonetheless, seeing him doing it in person and so effortlessly, it is a sight to see.
Well, let's talk about this Eastern Washington team that did play against Utah and BYU. They gave up more than 100 points to both teams. And,
Right.
I don't know how many times Utah's going to score 100 points this season. It's not going to be an incredibly common occurrence. BYU looks like they're a little bit better right now, but I don't see them scoring 109 a lot of times this year, especially as we get into Big 12 play. I mean, is Eastern Washington just that bad defensively?
So interesting enough, I think that they are a team that just runs a lot. Their tempo is, around the 100 ranking in the country, which is really, really good. And, I think it's one of those times, I watched film on the Utah game, and I know that Utah has had, somewhat of an odd start to the Alex Jensen era, but to me, Sean, it felt like one of those times that Utah things just click. And for Eastern Washington, things did not click. And so, whereas for BYU, the offensive power that they have with A.J. DeBonsa, with Richie Saunders and with Robert Wright III. And then last night, they had a fourth player, which is Kennard Davis Jr. A little bit of controversy surrounding him earlier in the year. But those four players really stepped up yesterday. And obviously, the three kings, as they're about to be called, the big three for BYU. It's interesting that a fourth player stepped up and they played so well. And comparing that to the Utah game, Eastern Washington shot the ball much better against BYU than they did against Utah. And so. But obviously, with the red and blue going across enemy lines, to the segment, it is interesting to see the comparisons of like, hey, how do they play Utah? How do they play BYU? And I think you're spot on. I think BYU themselves may not score 100 points in a game in the conference in many times. Out of the 18 games, I would be surprised if they get to the 100-point mark. In 6 of those games. That's just my honest opinion.
Look, the record for BYU is excellent right now. It feels like, with rare exception, and perhaps Eastern Washington is one of those games because, like you said, AJ had to shoulder maybe more of a load than people are comfortable with. But it
Right.
looks like this BYU team is kind of getting what they wanted out of some of the commits, obviously from AJ, getting Wright to come in from Baylor. It looks like this roster is kind of producing the way we thought that it would, but now we start to find out. Right? January 3rd, you get into conference play. Is BYU basketball at the spot they need to be rounding into the Big 12, which I still think is the best conference in college basketball?
Absolutely. I think a lot, football is king. You and I know that for both of our schools. And I think there's a lot of talk, surrounding football about Utah should have been in and BYU and Notre Dame. And, we all hear about the SEC. Well, Sean, we get to vehemently, brag that the Big 12 is the SEC of basketball. You know how to say, like the SEC of football for basketball. We get to say that. And so, but interesting enough, I will actually say that I don't think BYU is where they want it to be or that where they hope to be, basketball-wise, as conference play starts. And the reason for that is simple. BYU has had to rely heavily on their on their big three, and simply because of injury. Nate was supposed, one of their point guards, Nate was supposed to be, the main kid off the bench to be able to give Robert Wright III, the transfer for Baylor, a lot of rest. That's not happening, and he's out for the season. Then the next man up, Dawson Baker, a senior, experienced senior who's had to overcome a lot of trials. He was stepping up, to a big-time role, had some really big games for BYU, all the way up to, the game after they played UConn, where Dawson came in and almost helped BYU will them to win. And then Dawson has a season-end injury with an ACL. And so I personally don't think they are where they need to be because, sure, you can win a lot of games with a big three, but for this BYU team to achieve the goals that they have, and in all honesty, if they don't make it to the Sweet 16, I think this season is a failure. I know it's crazy to hear, but, in this day and age of NIL, how the roster has been constructed and the expectation around the players and the caliber of the players, especially now that they even added a G League player in Abdullah. And so, to me, this BYU team needs at least another one consistent player to be able to, to have and reach the heights that they're hoping to reach.
Last year, Richie Saunders was the guy that had to do a lot of heavy lifting, and that's been spread out, right? Now AJ is sort of the main driver with the scoring. Rob Wright is more than capable. Is Richie Saunders in an appropriate level of emphasis in an appropriate role in this BYU season for you?
What's crazy, Sean, is all of the things that you just shared about Richie and all of the accolades that he had last year, first team All Big 12, a borderline All-American, in the conversation for Player of the Year. His numbers are better this year. That's what's scary about this BYU team, right? In a good way, in a bad way. In a good way because Here you have A.J. DiBonsa, who is second in the country in scoring, had, the youngest player ever in NCAA history to have a 30-point triple-double, breaking all of these records, setting the bar so high, and nonetheless, Richie is still better than he was last year. Now, the reason why I say that this is incredibly, this is, scary good and scary bad is, that I just shared the good. The bad is if one of those guys go down, Sean, the conversation that you and I will be having will be extremely different. It is going to be a near 180 experience for this BYU team. That's how heavily they trust on, not trust, but that they are counting on those guys to make it happen now. And so, a player like Richie Saunders, it's a conversation that is even worth having. And I won't go too much into football because you probably know more about soccer, Sean, than I know about football. And I will say this, Tom Brady has hinted about this, and we're seeing with Phillip Rivers, having the time to develop, having the experience, having the opportunity to slowly grow into a role. We're witnessing that with our own eyes with Richie Saunders, right? And in this day and age of NIL, where you can start at a Division III, you can move to a Division I, you can move to a North Carolina or a Duke, and continuously to make more money. That development is going away of understanding the program, of understanding, hey, I'm staying here. I know how the coach works. I know how the offense works. I know how my environment works. It's one of the reasons that made the Majerus year so special, that, there was that continuation, there was that process. And so to me, Richie Saunders is a big time byproduct of, one of the last, Mohicans to go through college for the 4 years and staying at the same place.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, half of me applauds the idea that you can climb the ladder if you were under-recruited out of high school or wherever, and you're better than the level that you're competing at. I love that guys can move up. I also took advantage of the fact that you could move down if you needed to. I had to do that in my career. But I don't love what you're talking about, and I echo the sentiment of, I think, a lot of people now, that you don't have to go through any kind of crucible, any development. You don't have to learn the systems the way that you used to, and that, I think that's to the detriment of the sport in a lot of cases. Individual teams benefit from it, certainly, but I don't know that it makes the sport better.
And to this point that you're going, you're 100% right, and we're totally aligned on this. I mean, look at Penny Hardaway. I don't know if you saw just on the news that Penny Hardaway is now fining players, for breaking team rules, for being late, for missing practice. And, the concept of college athletics has changed so drastically, right? I've always been in favor of paying players, and in full transparency, I am not one of those guys that, says, hey, I'm jealous that I didn't get to play in an era that pays players. Absolutely not, because I became who I am because of the hardships and trials I had to overcome at BYU. And, at a certain point where I had $1 million contract offer to leave early, and I decided to come back, and I was able to write my name on a lot of the record books at BYU. And it's just such a different situation now. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but to me, it wouldn't be complicated to attach changing the business and the model of NIL and attach it to education. I mean, is this a collegiate league or is it a semi-pro league? Because if, just for a second, Sean, I know we're going a little bit too long here, but can you imagine if A.J. DiBonsa today would not pass a class and he would be ruled ineligible for BYU? Can you imagine what would happen? Like, it seems unfathomable that someone that's getting $5, $6, $7 million in NIL could potentially miss a game because he didn't do his homework. I mean, either you continue with the athletic model around universities in the collegiate level and you attach NIL somehow to, your development and your improvement of getting grades and passing classes, or you shut the whole thing down because, today, the way it is, it's just not working, and I don't think it's a sustainable model.
Well, I don't disagree with you there. And any suggestion, any solution, I think really could have been implemented over the 20 or so years that the NCAA tried to fight it instead of realizing that this was coming and it was an inevitability. Instead, they were battling. Lawyers were trying to push back on having to pay players. And they could have spent all that time, energy, money, effort into putting systems in place that kept college athletics, like, I don't know, looking like college athletics. But instead, they were just trying to hold all the money themselves, and now we're where we're at, and we can't unring the bell. But that's a topic for an off season. We'll get to that another time. Before I let you go, what does Christmas look like in the Tavernari household? Is it is there a Brazilian flavor on it, or have we fully commercialized you into an American Christmas?
Well, so Santa comes to Brazil on a surfboard riding a wave with a Hawaiian shirt because, it is 100 degrees down in Sao Paulo right now.
Of course.
And so, we have a few traditions where we have a really big Christmas Eve dinner and also a Christmas Day lunch. That's something that, Americans don't usually do a big Christmas Day lunch. Brazilians do. We've adapted a lot of traditions from my wife's family, who grew up in Georgia and moved here to Utah. But one of the things that I would say, Sean, from being Brazilian, married an American gal, we really miss Italy, I was there for my career for 10 plus years. And I know you've talked to some of the other guys that played overseas. I really miss the little Christmas markets. You know what I mean? And so, I can't wait for the lights to be back in all the grand splendor in Salt Lake, although going to the Grand America is fun. But, we try to incorporate a little bit of everything. And, no Hawaiian Christmas shirts in my household anymore. I can tell you that.
All right. JT, have a Merry Christmas. The same to you, your family, everyone you're celebrating with. Thanks for your time, sir.
As always, happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everybody. Thanks for having me.
Jonathan Tavernari, the BYU basketball legend, for a little red and blue, brought to you by Murdoch Ford Santa Quinn. Best discounts of the year happening right now. If you're looking for a big tax write-off, if you want to depreciate a vehicle, whatever, now is the perfect time to go down and take advantage of excellent savings on the trucks and SUVs offered by Murdoch Ford Santa Quinn. All right. Adrian Denny next, our Mammoth insider for a little Between the Pipes. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Shout out to James for the excellent DJ work as a Christmas playlist brings us in. Our final show, live show of the year. Before we go on our own little Christmas break, we're going to have classic Utah football games, the best Kyle Whittingham games playing on air. And, of course, there's bowl games and everything else happening over the break that we'll get to. But right now it's time to talk a little hockey. Our Mammoth insider, Adrian Denny, takes us between the pipes here in our studio. Adrian, I love it's not an ugly Christmas sweater, but it's a Christmas sweater of sorts.
Yeah, it's a Christmas tree hoodie.
Yeah,
I did not make this myself. People think that I made it myself. I did not. I purchased it at Target, and it's it's got the garland and the glitter and the sparkles, and I love it. I've worn it 2 days in a row now. In fact,
it's totally fine. Seasonal attire.
Thank you.
Overtime game winner for the captain. Doesn't get any better than that for Mammoth fans.
How about it? Another early one. Fastest goal to start an overtime this year in the NHL. 13 seconds in on Sunday. When the Mammoth go to overtime, it's going to be, is Keller going to pass to Gunther, or is Gunther going to pass to Keller? And Gunther, I think when everybody thought that he was going to shoot it, passed it to the captain, and Utah's now scored 4 of their 5 overtime winners in the first minute because Sergachev, Gunther, and Keller just go out there and don't mess around.
So how important was that win relative to the competition, division, et cetera, et cetera? And honestly, the trend of what this Mammoth team that we've been talking about these last couple of weeks, not finding, I think, the level of consistency that Coach Bear and others would like.
Gosh, like they did everything right, and then they made 2 mistakes, and 3-1 became 3-3 in 25 seconds, and Bear called timeout and just told them, guys, just calm down and play. Just calm down and play. They went back out. They took the game back over again and went to overtime. But, gosh, it was kind of getting into that neighborhood again of you did everything right, and now it's 3-3 in the third period after you've led for over 50 minutes in the game after going up 1-0, and then you made it 2-0 because that was the issue with the previous game, Friday night against Jersey. Looking great, but the game was only 1-0. Couldn't extend it to 2-0. And I thought they really outplayed the Jets to a point that when they made it 3-0 early in the second, thought, okay, this is what this game should be. This is a 3-0 game. So the scoreboard is justifying how Utah's dominated, and with their speed and skill, playing a team like Winnipeg, who's the 3rd slowest team in the NHL. Utah's the 2nd fastest, but I thought they were able to take over that game because they used their speed, but they also outworked Winnipeg. So sometimes, they say will over skill, and will beats skill when skill doesn't work hard, and I thought it was will and skill for the Mammoth on Sunday for 95% of that game. So was glad to see they could pull it out, take the 2 points, and we weren't talking about another A- where you get a point.
So 5-5 in the last 10, and now they go up against the best team in the NHL on the road. Obviously, you want a win. You want the points here. It's probably not one you panic about if you don't get, because the Avs have been getting the better of a lot of NHL squads. But what do you need to see to show that the Mammoth are on the right track, even against a team like this?
They've played Colorado maybe as good as anybody.
Sure.
This year. They went in there on opening night, which I thought was a scheduled loss. They lost 2-1. It was 1-1 in the third period. Nathan McKinnon scored a power play goal. They won 2-1, first game of the year, and the Avs had already played, and I thought it was a real tough situation to go into. That was a one-goal game. Then they beat him at the Delta Center on October 21st in a game where they fell behind, tied it, took the lead. Avs tied it a couple times, and then that was a game where Keller found Gunther in overtime to win it in the first minute, and Gunner said, pass is kind of behind me. I had to kind of retrieve that little bit there to put it at the back of the net. So they've played Colorado as good as anybody. This Avs team, 26-2-7, 14-0-2 at home. They haven't lost to a Western Conference team in regulation. Their only regulation losses have been to the Boston Bruins and New York Islanders. They just went into Minnesota on Sunday and snapped Minnesota's 7-game winning streak and their 3-0 record since they made that blockbuster Quinn Hughes trade. I don't know, man. Like, Utah's played well against them last game before Christmas. Colorado hasn't had a dud all season. I guess they did lose 6-3 at the Islanders, but like they're the best in every single category. Like, this is a team that could have below average goaltending, and their two goalies have as good a numbers as you'll see. Two guys that before they got to Colorado were, a backup goalie and another backup goalie. So everything they've done has turned to gold. And they lost in the first round last year. You remember that trade with Mikko Rantanen was going all over the map last year. Got rid of him.
Yes.
And then they lost to Mikko Rantanen in 7 games in the first round when they had a 2-goal lead in the third period. So they were sour about that.
In a very pointed Rantanen series, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And this year they've got their captain, Gabe Landeskog, back after he missed 3 years basically with an injury. So, gosh, they look like the complete package. I thought they'd probably do this like Winnipeg did last year, unbeaten in 14 of 15, but 26-2-7. That's record-breaking territory there. So for me, go in and play another solid game, like when you beat Detroit 4-1 last Wednesday, when you beat Anaheim 7-0. I think those are games you could say, all right, A+, you did everything perfect, and that's what it'll take.
If you shave off the obvious superstars, McKinnon, who you already mentioned, has 61 points already this season. Makar is a monster, but who is kind of like if that's Batman and Robin, who's Alfred for this team?
Marty Necas. That's the guy they got in the Rantanen trade. Him, Makar, and McKinnon are all 3 in the top 10 in the NHL in scoring. I think Necas has like 5 goals in the first 90 seconds of games this year. He's got 47 points in 35 games. So that might not be a guy that, everybody's heard of, right? Dialing in on Utah's NHL team, but number 88, Marty Necas. They've got Brent Burns. You probably know him from the beard, right? And,
old former Sharks, longtime San Jose Shark, Burnsy.
Yeah, so he's a guy that's, 40s, I think, but they don't need him to play 25 minutes a night. So he's been a big part of that team. Brock Nelson, who they got last year from the Islanders in a deadline deal, has got 14 goals. So I think everybody on their team's having a good year. They're good. It's a challenge. It's a good challenge. I think the Mammoth would love to go be that first team to beat them from the Western Conference, be the first team to beat them at home. And going back to last year, Utah played them pretty good too. They won a game 3-1 there right around Christmas time. They came back from the break on December 27th. It was a close game going down the stretch. So Mammoth have played Colorado as good as anybody in the NHL.
Do you like that the NHL does have the mandatory Christmas break? The NBA, it's like we were just talking with Gordy Chase about this. It's kind of their thing now, the Christmas games.
Yeah.
And for players, it's a love and hate, and coaches, it's a love and hate thing because, those are special games. Everyone's watching, star-making opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. And, look, the NHL is a winter sport, and it feels like maybe you could take advantage of that Christmas break to get more eyeballs on your games, but they've decided instead to have, a hockey break. Is that in the best interest of the league?
Do you know what, Sean? As a sports fan, Christmas Eve is brutal. It is terrible every single year. Like for me, I'm a last minute shopper, and so I'm running around on Christmas Eve. But that every place closes like one or two, you're done, and you're home, and there is nothing on. And if we get lucky and there's a Hawaii Bowl on at 5 p.m, thank goodness. But I think Christmas Eve, could you take over Christmas Eve Could you make it Christmas Eve and still make it the 25th, 26th, and 27th for your mandatory 3-day break?
I love this idea. All right. Here's what you do. You bring Santa Claus to every arena, and he's watching the game. And at the end of the game, you make it a thing where he's leaving with the reindeer to go start his duties on Christmas Eve. All right?
Love it.
This is genius marketing plan.
Because, I mean, selfishly, having been in pro hockey for 20-plus years, the 3-day break's great. And for the Mammoth, it goes a couple extra days. Don't play the 24th, and then you're back on the 29th against Nashville on Monday. So it's great personally, but I've always thought Christmas Eve is so underutilized in sports, and it drives me crazy, Sean, because all I do is watch sports. I don't have anything else. I tried to watch a comedy special last night, falling asleep, and put me right to sleep.
So on Christmas Eve with no sports to watch, will you fire up a Christmas movie?
Yeah, you do. The Christmas Story,
All right.
rolling.
Christmas Story's great.
Love Christmas Story. Elf's always great.
Okay.
If you look at my Christmas tree hoodie I'm wearing, you can probably say you are definitely a National Lampoon's fan.
Oh,
which I am.
Christmas Vacation,
Christmas
your thing?
Vacation.
All right,
Love
that's a
that.
good one.
That just feels like Christmas. Feels like everybody's Christmas over at Clark Griswold's house. Like, who doesn't live that every year?
I like it.
All of it. The 3 weeks leading up to it.
Well, 2 games. Second wild card spot. Is this where you thought the Mammoth would be at the Christmas break?
I like it. I do. I mean, the Western Conference right now, you look, if it was the Eastern Conference, the Mammoth wouldn't be in that wild card spot. But the way that Colorado, Minnesota, and Dallas are just rowing through everybody, you've got that. So the Mammoth at 18, 17, and 3 are in that second wild card spot, and they're 2 points up on San Jose. San Jose's at Vegas tonight. So you got to figure percentages are in your favor, that regardless of whatever happens tonight in Denver, you're going into Christmas vacation with that wild card spot. And I like it. Bill Armstrong said all along, just want to be in a decent spot going into Christmas, New Year's, coming out of that 3-game road trip right at the first of the year to the Devils, the Islanders, and the Rangers, just to be coming home for that 7-game homestand in January around the line. So I think they're there. I think they feel like they're under the hood numbers, as we say. Their analytics offensively and defensively say they're better than an 18, 17, and 3 team right now. So I think that with the schedule and with the way that they feel that they're playing, I think they're in a great spot. I love it. I feel fantastic about the Mammoth right now.
Hopefully you get some Mammoth merch under your tree if you're out there listening right now. Adrian probably doesn't need any more, but I also hope that you get some.
I'm headed to the team store at the Delta Center right now, in fact, to do some family Christmas shopping before the game tonight. So if anybody wants to head over and meet me there, I'll be hanging out. Because I'm one of those people, Sean, I go in and I just don't know. I can't shop, man. Like,
you're a bad shopper.
Going back to the I just watch sports thing, I go into a store and I don't know what to do, and I'm there for a long time. So that's where I'm headed now. So wherever you are in the valley, if you head down to the Delta Center now, I'll probably see you, and I'll be in my Christmas tree hoodie.
If you see a guy with tinsel and glittery ornaments on his hoodie, that's Adrian.
That's me.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Sean. Thanks for having me, as always.
Adrian Danny between the pipes on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, proud part of Utah's ESPN radio network. All right. If I could make a list of least favorite Christmas songs, this one is on it.
We're gonna blast it all segment. No, I didn't pick it because it's one of my favorites, but it is a classic.
It's absolutely a classic. There's been like 100 different artists that have recorded it. But
this might be this sounds like it's the original. I'm not positive. It's the Ronettes.
You know
I'm
what?
not sure.
I've never really I've listened to it hundreds of times, just like everyone else has. And we all understand the whole meaning of it.
Yeah,
it's who
cheating
doesn't?
with Santa Claus. Yeah,
You know who doesn't?
We know the meaning.
When you've got a young child listening to that song, just and they actually pay attention to the lyrics, and they're in the back of your car, and they're just like, "Wait, what?
Why would mommy
Why
do
would
that?
mom be kissing anyone except?" And then it's oh, you have to explain. Dad was dressed as Santa Claus. Why would Dad be dressed as Santa Claus?
Well, now you risk shattering their imagination and their belief in
You're just
Christmas. Yeah,
you're just yeah, it's a terrible song. It's awful. By the way, airing of grievances we're going to alter today. If you really want to, you can air a grievance because it's the time of giving and appreciation.
The Grinch
and
and Krampus are part of Christmas
and the
lore
Christmas
too.
spirit. We will also do airing of appreciations. We will do a positive airing of non-grievance, airing of support. Just because we're in the holiday spirit, we're in the mood for happiness and joy and spreading Christmas cheer. If you want to, you could air a grievance with that stupid song, or you could air, a positive feeling. We're opening that up today. That's coming in 33 minutes.
Can I say I love that I unintentionally stumbled upon first Scott Mitchell's least favorite Christmas song, which is Last Christmas, which I think is a grievance against anyone who that's their least favorite Christmas song. Fantastic song. And then I stumbled upon one of your least favorite Christmas songs, totally on accident.
Can't stand it.
Yeah.
James, what is the most? It's not explicitly Christmas related, but it feels like Christmas to you. Does that make sense? For me, Star Wars, because a lot of those movies were released at Christmas time.
Good point.
There's no mention of Christmas, of course, in a galaxy far, far away, but
bunch of heathens. Wow.
There's always a Christmas vibe when you watch Star Wars this time of year. It's that fits.
You went to the movies, saw it in
theater
theaters around Christmas.
Around Christmas time, you probably got a toy or several that were related to it. I got a Star Wars Christmas gift last night. Star Wars has been part of my Christmas since I was a small child. It is not by itself a Christmas thing, but I very closely associate Star Wars with positive Christmas feelings. Do you have anything like that?
Off the top of my head, it's related, but not any specific movie. Just going to the movies.
Yeah.
It's been I associate that with Thanksgiving too. Both of those holidays, a month apart. You go and see the biggest movie. Unfortunately, with the baby, having a baby now, will not be participating in that tradition. Christmas time did not get a chance to do it over Thanksgiving, but growing up, it was open presents, play some games, watch some sports, go to the movies at some point.
Yeah. We never did it on Thanksgiving or on Christmas, but around Christmas time, we certainly did the break between
in the week,
Christmas Day and New Year's, whatever. So Star Wars definitely. Avatar has been, that franchise releases around Christmas time.
Yeah,
it's in theaters right now.
For the younger generation, maybe Avatar is that thing. Yeah, I can't think of another specific movie series. Maybe Toy Story, but those movies, the sequels were released so far apart. I mean, the first and second movies were only a couple years apart, but after that, they're released so far apart. I don't know if. I probably only think of that because I remember going to Toy Story 2 at the movie theaters around Christmas or Thanksgiving time. Can't remember which, but one of the major holidays. So maybe I think of Toy Story that way because of that. I don't know.
The top holiday single day gross for the movie theaters. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, is number 1 spot. Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is number 2. Spider-Man No Way Home is number 3. Avatar The Way of Water, which is the sequel, the second one.
The one came out a couple years ago. Yeah.
That one is number 4, and The Last Jedi is number 5. So the recent trilogy of the Star Wars movies, which is by the fandom universally panned almost at this point. We're in the era now where all the Star Wars fans hate those, and then eventually, like 10 years from now, people are gonna be like, they're actually kind of entertaining.
See, I think they got 2 out of 3 right in the series. The first and the last one in the latest trilogy. Last Jedi is a travesty.
Yeah, that's number 8. You know what? This is a hot take, especially from someone who loves Star Wars. I kind of enjoyed them all. Now, would I like them to go back and just like redo that? Because guess what, Disney? You can. You own the intellectual property. You could just be like, that doesn't count. Those were just movies that we made to entertain you and get your money. This is the canon. This is how the story actually continues. And because it's all 100% fictional and made up, you're totally allowed to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they did that before they released the latest trilogy. That's supposed to be the last of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah,
I think is what they're calling it, right? They did that, right? They said nothing else is canon. This is canon.
That's right. Because
we can.
They had things like
canon
that they previously had been in the Star Wars universe. They'd be like, okay, like we're gonna do like video game stuff that counts, and Clone Wars, like the animated series, that stuff counts and all that. And they were just like, no. Wash it all away. This is what matters now. Just do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again. Retcon, I think, is what they call that in the nerd forums. Just do it. Just do it. Go back to like the Han Solo and Leia have 3 kids. They have the twins. Then they have this character that we made into Kylo Ren, right? Do that. Luke Skywalker finds a mate, Mara Jade. Let's do it. I'm showing my nerdiness now. Like the books, the Timothy Zahn like book series that came out after Star Wars, screenplay those bad boys. Anyway, the point is, there's a lot of things that are Christmassy that are not explicitly Christmas, and that's Star Wars is the one for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. As far as movies go, it does kind of feel like we all those of us who saw and loved the Star Wars movies all went and saw those around Christmas time. So yeah,
there's some weird ones on here. Like Little Fockers is number 19 on the list. I didn't know that Is
that like the 3rd movie of the Meet the Parents?
I didn't know that the Meet the Parents franchise was associated with Chris. Django Unchained is number 17. You want to talk about the least holiday-feeling movie you could possibly watch?
Yikes. I feel like it's a little strange that Spider-Man Far From Home is one of the, you say, in the top 5?
Spider-Man No Way Home is 3.
No Way. Yeah, I mean, those are good. The Tom Holland Spider-Man movies completely fixed the problem with past Spider-Man movies. Absolutely. But, like, I wouldn't have guessed they'd be one of the top 5, top 10 grossing Christmas movies.
All right, the Joe Moore Award was given to Iowa. We already backed Jeff Schwartz into a corner and asked him about Utah not being a finalist last week. Well, now maybe he could explain to us why the crap Iowa got the Joe Moore Award.
Boo.
Jeff Schwartz joins us next to talk all things football on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show on a Tuesday, our last live show before we take a little Christmas break. We will have classic Utah football games on, the 2021 Pac-12 championship game, which is the favorite of our next guest, Jeff Schwartz, who, of course, is an Oregon Duck and a football insider. Jeff, welcome to the show. How are you?
That the game that I assume we lost, correct? That's the one we lost?
That's the one you lost. We're not going to play the one that Oregon demolished the Utah defensive front.
That, it's so funny looking back on that bowl game. That was the Pac-12. That was the year that Mario, was talking to Miami. It's kind of funny looking back at that time, and we're seeing it now with some of these bowl games, some of the end of season things. Like when your coach is, talking to another team, it's just sort of hard to focus in that game as much as you try. And you guys are better than us. You beat us early in the year too. That's not why we lost, but you hear from players after it was over. It was like, yeah, our coaching staff will sort of focus on other things. It's not great, but it is what the sport is, because the calendar is set up in that way where you got to make that move quickly, man. There's no time to wait.
Look, we already aired our grievance with you and the Joe Moore committee for excluding Utah from the list of finalists, but I thought that would be the end of it, and the Utah fans are really up in arms about the fact that Iowa won this award.
Well, I thought Oregon should have won, so how do you think I feel? We've been three-time runner-up. We've been second place 3 straight years, and we've had the number one offense, according to EPA, for 3 years running now, and we can't win the Joe Moore Award. Look, here's the deal. First of all, we watch all the film, so people accusing us of watching the film, don't watching the film, is you might disagree with the film results that we put out, but we do watch the film. That's when it kind of bothers me, because that's like one of the things that I think we actually watch too much film sometimes. I'm like, guys, this team's not going to, why are we wasting our time watching this team? They're not going to be in it at the end. I think the thing that just from, I'm on these calls with Iowa, is the consistency, the technique. I know people get caught up in the stats, right? And I get why we do, right? It's what we have available to us. But the film, this, right? Like the eye in the sky never lies, and it's normally not as good, normally not as bad. But we get to watch, and when it comes down to the very end, choosing finalists, choosing semifinalists, we hone in on everything, right? Consistency, technique, finish. And I went back and watched some Utah today just because I saw I knew it was coming on. I just wanted to double check on something that I had in my notes. Like, just an example, like Iowa and Oregon were the 2 best teams at knocking defenders down. Like, I went and watched the Utah-Kansas game. Not a lot of bodies on the ground. Like, that stuff, when we're differentiating between, like, good teams, great teams, who's in, who's not, little things like that matter, right? I know people were upset about it when I talked about the scheme things, right, with Utah. And, again, those matter because when we're differentiating between what an offense line is asked to do, right, and when you have an offense that sort of messes with defenses, right? It's a little bit easier. I'm not saying it's easy. Plenty of offenses try to do that, and they don't do it, versus other offenses that just kind of run the ball right at you and say, we're going to do it. We don't care that you now, again, I thought Iowa wasn't the best team. Thought it was Oregon. And the last thing on this that really frustrates me just in general about how offensive line play is discussed. This bothers me about NFL All-Pro voting, which I have an issue with the way the voters do it in that. And also with, I think, college football is we don't value pass protection enough. And that's where, to me, Oregon was the winner, because what they're asked to do, it's 5-on-5, it's professional pass protection, no slides, no running backs, no chips. It's just you versus the guy in front of you with added 1 linebacker in there. And it's high leverage, it's empty protection, it's like all the things that make it really hard to do. They put on that offensive line. Iowa just didn't have as many reps. They had, I think, 80 less reps. I do think what hurts teams like Oregon and like Utah in the end is that it looked very familiar to past winners. This is a flaw, I think, in our system. And I've said this to the group before. College football is not what it was 7, 8, 9 years ago. Teams are out of shotgun. Teams are running different plays. It's not going to look like it did years ago. The position's changing, first of all. The sport's changing. But you put on the Iowa film, and it takes you right back to 2007. Like, that's just what they do, right? So, again, I thought Oregon should have won. it is what it is, and Iowa won, and that's the process. But we watch all the film. You might disagree with the end result, everyone, but I promise you the film gets watched.
So the final distribution of the award, is it like a Heisman vote where you put in your top 3? How many guys are voting?
Well, we have our committee is ever evolving, but I think it's about 10 of us. Might be 12. It's what you vote 1, 2, 3. The semifinalists are chosen. The finalists are chosen often by a vote. Sometimes we get in a long 2-hour call. We talk through all the teams and we go one by one and yay or nay, and are they in or are they out? Do we put 2 teams? Do we put 4 teams? Do we put 3 teams? What's the differentiating factor? You cluster teams together a lot of times, where you cluster them and say, okay, if this team makes it in, then these 2 have to make it in also, right? Because sometimes teams are very closely related. So we thought that these 3 were the best 3. If let's say you put in Utah, does that mean you have to put in 2 other teams that are like Utah, right? They grade about the same in our eyes. So it makes it difficult, sort of where the cutoff line is. I'm always in favor of less teams in any of the lists. By the way, I'm probably the only person in the room that continues to say that every year. I'm like, guys, too many teams. We should have less teams. But that's where we end up on. And again, you might not like the result, but you can't question the people on the panel, because we're some of the best to watch the film and evaluate offensive line play. And I think the analytics part of it, while certainly important, doesn't take into account a lot of the things that we look at. That's why the film's important, because if we just voted off PFF or anyone else, we get a much different results every year.
Who should we blame for USC Notre Dame going away?
USC. Well, I mean, of course we blame USC. They're scared. As everyone has sort of said, like Keyshawn and Petros and all these guys, former USC guys, the school's not run by USC people, and it's run by people that, in my opinion, don't care about tradition, don't care about their former players, don't care about anything but, I guess, trying to make the playoff, right? I mean, I guess that's the goal here, right? To make the playoff for USC, but it's such an iconic rivalry. I think the times it hasn't played in the last 100 years were like World Wars 1 and 2 and COVID, and now Lincoln Riley. Like, those are like the 4 reasons why it hasn't been played. Look, USC killed the Pac-12. They killed this rivalry. Like, they're just sort of deciding, I guess, they want to do their own thing, and maybe they go independent next. I don't know, man. But did you see that the Big Ten just kind of skewered them today, because they claimed that this was done because Notre Dame gets automatic playoff spot if they're ranked in the top 12, which I think is ridiculous. I think we all think that's ridiculous. They claim that new information is why they backed out of the game, and then it was announced or reported that the Big Ten said that all the schools knew about this memorandum of understanding like a year ago, and so canceling the game based off of that is not really accurate. So I don't know, man. I think that USC is just scared. It's that simple. If they had won this game 6 of the last 7 years, they would play it, but they don't win the game anymore.
Yeah, I think you're right. And when you look at a game, regardless of when it's going to be played, against a top team, it's either a quality win or it's a forgivable loss, and they don't want to deal with the forgivable loss because they think they're going to lose, so they don't believe they can get a quality win, and they take it off the schedule.
Yeah, they're look. I mean, I think the program is soft. I've said this for 2, 3, 4 years now. I don't think it's a tough program. It's not what Pete Carroll's USC was. And as long as the people that are in charge need to be in charge, let's continue the way they'll operate. And they're not making a playoff next year. It's not going to help them. It's not going to help them at all, but maybe they think they can. I just disagree that they're going to be a playoff team next year.
Who's Michigan going to hire?
So I was on Sirius the other morning. Actually, I filled on Big Ten for the first time all year. I was like shocked. I got the call. I was like, "Oh, you sure?"
Well, that doesn't surprise me. We were told when the Pac-12 network died that we'd have a lot of fill-in opportunities.
Yeah. I was like, wow, you guys remembered who I was. So we were talking about the Michigan thing, and I said, Kyle Whittingham, right, as an option, and that's what we got that text from our old producer Dan Lynch about it. Look, I mean, I think if you're looking for someone who is just going to clean the program up and no nonsense and make sure that things are done correctly and things are done in a professional manner, and you're going to play good football, I think he would be the call you make. I don't think he's their first choice, and I don't know if Kyle Whittingham wants the Michigan job, right? But I just find it interesting that it seems very clear that he's not done coaching, right? Because as soon as the retirement, or excuse me, the announcement came out that he was leaving his job, we got a tweet 2 seconds later, like he's not retiring. Yeah. He's not retiring.
Well, and he's since twice now been in front of a microphone and supported that notion that no, I'm not retiring. We're going to see what's next. He is not committing to coaching next year or anything like that, but he's effectively saying, no, I haven't decided to retire.
Right. So that makes me curious because I think that's what Michigan needs. They need Kyle Whittingham. Now, does he want that job? I don't know. Does Bryce Underwood stay? Like, there's a lot of questions about what the job is. But that, to me, if you're looking for a guy who's he's not gonna have scandals, right? He's not gonna sleep with an intern. He's not gonna he's not gonna have recruiting violations that end up causing your team to lose games or get in trouble. It's not gonna happen with Kyle Whittingham. And then you add in, of course, I think his style of coaching is what Michigan wants, right? They want physicality and discipline and toughness and all the things that makes Coach Whittingham one of the better coaches in our sport and one that's been successful at Utah all these years.
Does Puka Nacua need off-the-field coaching, or is he talented enough that the low-level scandals he's involved himself in are not going to really damage him from a contractual standpoint or from a standing with the team standpoint?
That's a good question. They often say, right, like if your talent outweighs your problems, you're fine. But as soon as your problems outweigh your talent, you're in big trouble, right? And the thing that I worry about with him is not obviously he's very talented, and I don't think that's going away anytime soon. But I think it's worth sort of talking about where this is headed, right? Like if you start associating yourself with these people that don't have your best interest in mind, right? Their job is to get streaming views and to get you to say things that you probably regret in the end. There's no consequence for any of these streamers if he says something dumb to them, right? All they get is views. They make money. He loses his career off of it. They're not his friends, right? And I think it would be smart for someone, the Rams, to get in his ear, his agent, someone to be like, hey, man, like this just is not good for business to associate yourself with these streamers. I'm very glad he apologized or at least not apologized, but at least acknowledged that doing that greedy Jewish money dance was probably not the smartest thing to do if he had scored a touchdown, which he did in that game against Seattle. But it just seems like these are the wrong decisions to make for a person in his career path to hang out with streamers that don't help his career at all. Like he should be all about just doing what's best to get himself the most money and provide for his family. It just feels like this is not the best way to do that in the end.
Well, it was really interesting because we saw, like he's coming off of that streaming appearance where he was, I think, somewhat led down a bad path and had to apologize for it.
This is the point. Like there's no consequence for the other guys.
But it was really fascinating to see immediately post game, right? And then he has an unbelievable game, 225 yards, a couple touchdowns. He has an unbelievable game, and his coach goes in front of a microphone, and the first question is about, hey, he's tweeting about the refs. And you could watch McVay's face
so angry.
Get angry. Like, why am I talking about this? And that's kind of what I'm asking you about because, again, like, Sean McVay knows what he's dealing with when he's got 21 and 22-year-old kids on his team. But also, the conversation is no longer about his talent, his contribution, any plays he made or did not make. It's about stuff that's happening away from the field.
Yeah.
And if you're a coach, you care more about what's happening on the field. But, man, I'd either consciously or subconsciously, I'd get real sick of having to apologize for somebody else's behavior.
Well, when the term distraction is used, this is what it is, right? It's you finish a game and the first question you get asked is, why is your player tweeting about the officials, right? And that's what distractions are. And that's why coaches get angry about them. They don't want – look, as much as McVay didn't want to talk about the loss, he has to, right, contractually. And he's willing to do that. But he doesn't want to talk about what Puka Nakua's tweets are or what someone else is doing or what gesture he was doing in a video with someone. That's not what he wants to be doing. So anything that takes away from football tends to drive these coaches absolutely mad. I forgot about the officiating tweet. My thing about the officials is when people think that it's rigged, like, why are you watching then? Why Puka, why are you playing if you think the games are rigged? That feels kind of silly. Like, waste your time playing a game. You get paid a lot of money, certainly. But wasting your time and your health to playing a game that's rigged? Oh, come on, man.
Well, there also wasn't anything particularly controversial from an officiating standpoint in that game.
Yeah, I mean, look, the 2-point play thing, I just despise that replay was used for that, even though that was the right call in the end. I don't think that replay review should be used to basically award someone 2 points for the worst play of all time. I saw a tweet that said, it's very funny, Sean, a tweet that said something like, imagine you're drunk in the stands, your team runs the worst play you've ever seen, and they award you 2 points afterwards. That, to me, is not the spirit of replay, but it was the right call. I mean, I guess there was maybe another, like a no call or some other call, I think, that kind of didn't go the Rams' way. But look, you were up 30-14 and you didn't win the game. I mean, you were up 26-7 in Philly and didn't win the game. You lost the Panthers. Like, you've had your opportunities this year, unfortunately, haven't gone your way at certain points. I mean, that's why you are the 5 seed at the moment.
Should I believe in the San Francisco 49ers' ability to win a Super Bowl?
No, but they're going to be the 1 seed, I think. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know that yet. So basically, they have to play the Bears, right, this weekend. And the NFL to get them kind of dirty here because the Bears played last on Saturday night, right? And now the Niners just played last night on the road.
Yes. And
the Niners have to go back home. Got home early this morning. I mean, they're 2 days behind in prep. That's kind of messed up that they made them do that and play a really good Bears team, obviously. If they win that game, then Week 18 is for all the marbles, right? Week 18 is for the division, the 1 seed. The game's at home. I don't trust Seattle all in that game, by the way. I would take you guys to win that game. But your defense is just not going to – you're just not – it's just not. Like, it's just not good enough. Obviously, the injuries play a big role in that. It's not anyone's fault per se, but you just can't rush the passer, right? And that's a big problem.
Because we're talking about the Niners, their opponent last night was the Colts with 44-year-old Grandpa Phillip Rivers as the quarterback. Was he better in Week 2 than in Week 1?
Yeah, I think he was. He looked like he gained 10 pounds between the 2 weeks, but he certainly is better than he was. He's just very limited, right? Like I don't know who they I think they have still they have a division opponent coming up, and you're like, oh boy, like that's going to be a rough one. I mean, Phil Rivers just can't move, and the Niners can't rush the passer, so both those things obviously help Phillip Rivers there. But he's going to run up against someone. They have the Jacksonville and they have the Texans coming up. That's going to be rough. It's going to be rough the next couple of weeks. Great story. It shows you the power of just knowing the playbook, right? Like having your mentals in check and knowing exactly what you're supposed to do every play. And it was very, they I think very clearly tried to isolate some of the audio of him last night at the line of scrimmage, which I thought was pretty cool. The coolest thing, by the way, might have been the Luke Kuechly calling the interception. Did you see that clip?
Yes. He's an alien. Love Luke Kuechly.
So it's funny. So on that video, he said that the term Orlando, right, was the sort of stick flat play, right? And then I saw another clip like right below that from someone who was just posting highlights from Phillip Rivers, and he showed a drive second drive maybe, where he said Orlando, and he ran the exact same play. And I thought it was pretty funny that like that was the exact sequence. Like Luke Kuechly heard him say Orlando. They ran that little stick flat, right? Tight end just sort of runs up, pivots, running back goes in the flat, and then obviously the number one can runs typically a deeper route. And and then Winters baited him too, right? Because Winters sort of stepped one. You just read that linebacker, right? He stepped one step towards the running back in the flat, and he threw the ball. And I think like that part of it, you just might be a little bit limited with Rivers. You probably don't have a huge playbook. But dude, I think you have to be a little bit impressed with what he's doing. Even me, who hates nostalgia whatsoever. Did you know his family was there last night?
All 10 kids?
I don't know. I didn't see it. I missed the first 9 times they showed it, so I was curious if you saw it the 10th time. But they were there. His family was there. Believe it or not, they went and supported the dad. Too many kids. This is wild. You must have 10 kids.
Well,
you want a lot though. You want one more, right?
You have to start when you're like 21 if you're gonna have 10 kids.
You still want one more though, right?
I'd go for even 2 if I.
Does your wife know this?
I don't think that she 100% agrees. It's very as a man, as you're aware of this, it's very easy to want kids when you're a man because you don't have to carry them.
Yeah. How much time do we have to can I tell you a mayor of the story?
Well, we have plenty of time because you're now a lizard dad.
Yeah.
I need to know if
that's what I'm getting into.
I need to know if the Schwartz family Christmas tree is still up.
And I have no 3:30 meeting, so.
Okay, perfect. So, why are you collecting animals?
So, here's what happened. So, we for Hanukkah, we told the kids they had to make us PowerPoint presentations for what they wanted. So, it was a great idea. Our kids can use computers, like they know how to make PowerPoints and stuff. So, they did a great job. And one of Alex's things was like he made this like elaborate PowerPoint on bearded dragons.
Uh-huh.
And everything, like he linked the terrarium and like the food and all this stuff, and Meredith was like, no. Now 2 years ago we didn't even have a dog. Like she was anti-pet, right? No. Now we did have those chickens for a couple of weeks until they all got murdered, but
Yeah.
We mostly did not have animals. So now we get the dog. We got hermit crabs recently, which are kind of useless. They're kind of a dumb pet to have.
It's like owning a rock.
Yeah. They're really dumb, but the kids have done a good job. They're taking care of them, like doing all those things. So she was firm against the bearded dragon idea. And then my algorithm on TikTok just started showing me bearded dragons, and they were kind of cute. And I was like, look at these bearded dragons. She's like, really? That's what they're like? I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay, we can get a bearded dragon. So we go to the store to get them at the pet store. And Alex knew everything he needed. He needed everything. And Meredith wanted the orange one. There were like 2. There was like an orange colored and sort of like a green yellow one, like a regular colored one. And Alex chose the other one. Okay. So not the orange one. So we get home Friday night, set up the tank, like we get it going. And I've done a ton of research now on bearded dragons. I'm like an expert. Because guess who's in charge of them? I am, right? Because guess where my kids and family are at right now? They're skiing in Whistler. Okay. I'm by myself. So I'm in charge of these freaking things. Okay.
Okay.
So I did a ton of research on these things. The next day on Saturday, Meredith and a friend was over, and she goes, hey, I'm going to go run an errand. I'll be right back. And Alex goes, I bet you she's getting another bearded dragon. And she did. She brought another one home. Okay? The one she wanted, the orange one. So she puts it in the same terrarium. And I'm like, I'm not sure. And my son was adamant, like, Mom, you can't have them in the same terrarium. Like it's not a thing anyone suggests. And my was like, at the pet store they are. I'm like, it's a pet store. So I look it up, dude. And every vet website, every bearded dragon forum, Reddit, they're like, do not keep them together. So what did I do? I trucked back to the pet store, bought another terrarium, and now we have 2 bearded dragons. Chuck and Arthur are their names. And I'm caring for them. So I feed them twice a day.
All right.
I ordered
They eat crickets? What do they eat?
Yeah, so crickets are not very nutritious for them. Like you have to spray calcium, dust calcium powder on them.
Okay.
So they have these beetles they like.
All right.
And then I ordered some like black soldier fly larvae. They should be here today. They're super nutritious. You have to make sure they have calcium, and then you have to make sure they have like this type of light to make sure that they get their D vitamins in.
Yep.
So we have that all set up for them.
All right.
So one of them likes to be fed. The other one likes me to put his food down and leave, and then he'll eat after I leave. I've learned that now over 2 days. They like to hang out with you. Like you could put them on your shoulder, on your chest. Like they just kind of sit there, which is kind of fun. Except both of them did number 2 on my shoulder yesterday, separately, like hours apart. Just took giant. Both took just giant poos right on my shoulder. They don't really like Foe being around them. I could tell that.
Okay, that's their dog, German Shepherd, by the way.
And Foe's like sort of like, what are these things? He's kind of like not quite sure what they are. So yeah, we have 5 hermit crabs, a large German Shepherd, and 2 bearded dragons now. I mean, they're
All
chill.
right.
They're cool, but like
now we know what to get you for a gift, a thank you for always joining us on the show. I'm just going to send a random animal to your house.
I don't really want any more animals, clearly. But like it's such a Meredith thing just on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Have a couple adult beverages, bring home another bearded dragon without doing any research whatsoever.
It's fine.
Like no idea on so we have 2 terrariums. It's
Let's send like a badger to your front door and see what happens.
Foe would eat that thing.
I doubt it.
But yeah, like one of them does not like Foe. Like the other one is kind of chill about it, but like one of them is just like, I don't. Anytime Foe's around, I
just love that this is where your life has gone. It's really enriching for me.
But the thing about it is that it's not like I'm not busy. You know, it's not like it's not like we don't have anything to do. We have things we do. Like we have tons of life.
What do you?
We have to add more animals to it.
And you guys take vacations every 3 weeks. So what are the?
My family does.
Who's going to take these? Who's going to take care of the bearded dragons when you guys are at the beach? Who's going to?
I'm not going to go to the beach, which is fine.
All right. Do you have? Is the Schwartz family Christmas tree up or not?
No.
Oh, tragedy.
Because Meredith left town, so she took it down 2 days ago. So
savage.
I had to drop our car off today because got a little minor accident at the collision shop, and on the Uber home from the collision shop, the nice lady was like, what are you doing for Christmas? And I was like, lady, I'm just letting you know when you pull up to the house, there's going to be a Christmas tree on the side of the road. Just letting you know, don't think it's weird. And there it was. So it's already out.
We all think it's weird.
She told me 2 days beforehand. She's like, I'm done with this thing. I'm over it. We got it delivered really early this year too. So it was like week before Christmas, week before Thanksgiving. So it's been up for
a wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's been up over a month.
That's a long time. All right, that's enough.
How we feel about the bowl game? I took Utah -14 when the line came out.
I think that Utah is going to absolutely demolish Nebraska. I think Nebraska is limping their way along. It feels like this group of Utah players, they've had 3 opt-outs, which is fewer than I thought. And
are the tackles playing?
No.
They're 2 of the opt-outs, or they just haven't announced yet?
They're 2 of the opt-outs.
Okay, yeah. I was curious. I figured they're not going to play.
It's Logan Fano, the older brother of Spencer, and then Caleb Lomu. They have opted out. And to the knowledge of everyone on the coaching staff, everyone else plans to play.
The video of Logan presenting the award to Spencer was awesome. I very much enjoyed that. Do you think this game will be coached by Kyle Whittingham or Scally?
Both.
A dual. So who gets the win? Whittingham on his record? Yeah.
Co-head coaches. They both.
I was just curious if he'll let like Morgan Scally do more of the, like, give him an opportunity to like wet his feet a little bit.
It's interesting because talking with players all through the year. I mean, Devin Dampier joins us every week, and he has told us kind of all year long that Witt has been letting Morgan kind of do meetings and like conduct some things as if he was like fully. I think what happened. The best sense I have today on the 23rd of December is that Kyle Whittingham was fully intending to retire after this year and then was re-energized by a 10-win season and probably a little bit miffed by the pressure he was getting from whatever sources of pressure he was getting to say, like, all right, let's have you be done. And he was like, you know what? Actually, no. I think that's what really happened because all signs all the way up to that very last game pointed to him like kind of like putting a close to this chapter, and then I think he changed his mind, and it was not well received. Is what I can guess at right now.
What are you doing for Christmas this year?
Just hanging out. We're here in Utah. We'll be We'll be doing Christmas Eve and Christmas morning with just my nuclear family, and then spend it with the in-laws for like dinner that night or whatever.
What does your oldest daughter want? What's the hot item now for young?
She asked for a Vespa,
Okay.
and I was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna get a Vespa." And she's like, "Well, I'll just ask Santa Claus." And I was like, "I'm gonna tell Santa in my letter to Santa not to get you a Vespa." Because I don't want you driving a Vespa around. You're 6. So,
Okay.
And then she asked for a safe. Apparently she has valuables that she wants to protect from her parents and her sisters.
Okay. I mean, I get the protection from your sisters.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just, a bunch of regular type kid stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Merry Christmas. Happy
Same to
holidays. Appreciate you joining us, and enjoy. I mean, I don't know, like we could jump on a Zoom call for old time's sake since you're by yourself. If you need anyone to hang out with over the break since your family abandoned you.
I have 8 pets. Now,
That's true.
The lizards they just sit on your shoulder. Just
that's
sort of
fine.
hang out.
All right, go get pooped on.
Twice, 2 separate shirts got ruined. I actually put one on my body to do a radio show yesterday because I was talking about it, but they didn't believe me, and I put it on me, and then one of them went poo on me while I was on the radio.
It's just gross.
Yeah, you think?
All right, buddy.
All right. Merry Christmas, everyone. Please stop being angry at me, Utah fans. It's not my fault.
Keep sending your grievances to Jeff Schwartz. 877-353-0700 if you want to air either a grievance or because tis the season, we're going to do an airing of appreciation, an airing of support, an airing of blessings. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Who doesn't want a hippopotamus for Christmas?
So this is one you approve of.
It's definitely acceptable.
I love this song. It's
great.
How can this song not put a smile on your face? But I feel like there's a lot of people that probably find it annoying. So
877-353-0700. Any appreciations, blessings, gratitudes, whatever, air those. If you want to air grievances, we will respect the process as well. 1273 says, my grievance is 1, these are a few of my favorite things is not a Christmas song. And 2, White Christmas was actually first sung by Bing Crosby in the movie Holiday Inn, previous to the actual movie White Christmas. But the movie Holiday Inn doesn't get the notice or notoriety that White Christmas does. So, deep cuts.
I mean, probably because we don't care about that hotel franchise. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow. What has Holiday Inn ever done to you? All right. 1624 says, anti-grievance. I'm grateful in our current society of hatred and negativity, we have things like sports and entertainment to distract us from the actual troubles of the world. You know what? I'm grateful for those things as well. I also think that when you unplug from social media and from media in general, because our news media is just like a thinly veiled approximation of social media now, and you talk to people for real, and you get out, I don't know, picking the kids up at school or chatting with the neighbors. Up around the corner from my house, there is an iconic Christmas decoration display. It's actually on Google Maps. And we took a stroll up there last night. Are there problems in the world? Absolutely there are. Do we need to do a better job of being gracious with our fellow human? Yes, of course. But I think that the news and the powers that be want to keep us a little bit scared and worried and distracted. And when you actually talk to people, there's less negativity than you think. So, yes, it's wonderful to have sports to distract us from the stresses of finance and daily life. And it's actually one of the problems I have with college sports now, because the money problems are just thrown in your face every minute now in college sports. But yeah, it ain't as bad as you think it is. Still, sports and entertainment are great to distract you from the problems that do exist.
By the
Also,
way, did
a
you
grievance.
see it's Derek from Murray is 1624. We have a name now.
Okay, great.
Shout out to Derek from Murray.
Derek from Murray also said, not having It's a Wonderful Life in the top 5 is unforgivable on my top 5 list for favorite Christmas movies.
Who's Derek kicking out of that list, though?
Yeah.
It's easy to say, why isn't this in there? Well, you got to take one out, my guy.
Maybe I'm just not as impressed with Jimmy Stewart as you are.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'll put a lasso around the mound.
See? See? My grievance today is with Amazon for not putting my wife's Christmas present in a box so she knows exactly what she's getting from 1804. It is one of the problems of online shopping. You're not always aware of what you're getting. Let me ask you this, by the way. Is there like a uniform or universally accepted grace period where you, around Christmas time, where you have to stop buying things for yourself? Because somebody in your family needs a gift idea for you, right? So shouldn't, I don't know, after Thanksgiving at least, if you need something or want something, shouldn't you just be like, I'm not buying that for myself. This might be something you could get me for Christmas.
Yeah, so I'm not a great gift giver, and my wife has been gracious enough to just like put things in the safe for later that she wants and basically spoil any kind of surprise. But I appreciate that, and she's always ecstatic to open it up on Christmas, whatever, even though she knew that that's what she was getting because she saved it for me to buy. So I feel like, yeah, that's absolutely acceptable. Put it in. You want to text it to the person. You want to say it verbally to them. You want to put it in the cart and all, and you got to just hit buy. Like, I'm totally open to that. It really helps terrible gift givers like myself.
Yeah. I think that's why I have such a problem with it, because my wife, she had like a new pair of pajamas on the other day, and I reacted in a terrible manner. So I was like, what are you doing? Instead of being like, oh, those are great. I was like, what? Why? Those are brand new. Why do you have
It's Christmas
those?
time.
It's Christmas. Anyway, don't be like me and react poorly. But also, there's got to be some kind of we got to, as a society, agree upon a moratorium on buying yourself stuff when you do have family and friends that want to get you things.
Especially in this era of Amazon and very convenient online shopping, it's so easy just to get, I want that, I want it, I'm just going to get it. Got to put a pause on that. I agree. Did you see the Jordan from Eagle Mountains? Wonderful airing of appreciation.
I do like that. Thank you, Jordan. Says, I was a regular listener to Bill Riley. Was sad when he left. Not thinking I'd ever listen to the show once he was gone. But Jordan says he thinks I've done a great job taking his place, and I appreciate that. Thanks for listening, and Merry Christmas to you, Jordan. That makes me feel good. Derek, by the way, we said, what movie would you take off the top 5 list? He took movie number 1 off. He says, take out Love Actually.
He says, actually, I do not love that movie.
Oh, all right. 2289, airing of appreciation to the team down south in this truck stop conference for reigniting my sports hatred to a new level. And in closing, I'd like to thank them for absolutely nothing. I tell you what, because sports are ultimately not important, it is the right place to put, if you need to have hatred in your heart, sports is the right place to have hatred in your heart, right? Be nice to your neighbors. Embrace people who are different than you. Try to learn from one another. But absolutely, if you want to hate the rival, hate them.
Be nice to if you're a Ute fan, be nice to your BYU fan neighbor in most settings. But then when they're playing, you want to talk smack, then let them have it. Yeah.
The 1804 says the cutoff for buying gifts for yourself in their family. This is Zach. Black Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
I like that. Shout out to Zach. My airing of appreciation, this is very sincere. I just appreciate that I got a little guy for Christmas. A little guy around for his first Christmas. Didn't know if that would happen for us, and it's
I'm glad it did, James.
Love that I get to be a dad for Christmas.
It is the peak experience of human life to be a parent, and I'm glad that you and your wife get to have that, and it only gets better as they get a little bit older. I'm grateful for the same thing. My 6, 4, and 2, all of my kids have at least some awareness of the Christmas spirit right now, and we're in the glory days of Christmas celebration right now, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Spence Checketts in the driver coming up next. Spence, how are you?
Hello, Sean.
Hi.
I'm well. Okay. So driving around town, doing my annual.
Oh yeah.
Last-minute Christmas shopping.
As you should.
Panicked, trying to get everything done.
Yep.
Tuned into the Sean O'Connell show because I'm a P1.
Yeah.
Listen every day whenever I'm in the car.
All right.
Listen to my guy.
Okay.
And I hear this effusive praise for this eyesore of a film.
Don't do this.
Called The Holiday, which is just, as I texted you, simply put, an atrocious piece of cinema. No matter what time of year it is awful.
You know what? It came out in 2006. We may not, in the last 19 years, have had anything better.
Rotten Tomatoes, 51%. Jude Law? Come on, Sean.
Are you telling me that you couldn't get lost in Jude Law's eyes?
Look, Jude Law is a handsome man. I'm not knocking on the physical characteristics of a man that looks like that.
Jude Law is a widower? I mean, come on.
It is so corny. It is so poorly written. And for a cast that should be awesome, it is... And look, who's buying Jack Black as a romantic character? Jack Black is for School of Rock and other comedic relief. Jack Black is not a sympathetic, romantic guy.
He absolutely is.
He most certainly is not.
The lovable, chubby, funny guy needs actual romantic love too, Spence. That's part of the lesson of the whole movie.
I didn't say Jack Black doesn't deserve love.
You did say that.
It was like when they casted Steve Carell in that Apple TV show about the news, and he's like the player that drinks whiskey and sleeps with women. You're like, that's Michael Scott. I'm not buying Steve Carell as some tortured whiskey drinking player.
So you want these people to be typecast into the same role for the rest of their careers?
Correct. When it comes to Jack Black, yes.
All right.
I'm trying to. Who else? It's a powerhouse of a cast.
Yeah, you don't like Cameron Diaz. You don't like Kate Winslet.
I like Cameron Diaz in There's Something About Mary. I like Kate Winslet in Titanic. I like nobody in this atrocious film that you love.
It is wonderful, but it's no Love Actually. We can at least agree upon that.
What? Okay, I didn't hear the entire list. Give me your top 5 Christmas movies.
The
of all
top
time.
5 Christmas movies, incontrovertible, beyond debate, and above reproach, as represented by the Sean O'Connell Show. Number 1, Love Actually. Number 2, Elf. Number 3, the all-time classic White Christmas. Number 4, the aforementioned Holiday. Number 5, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And honorable mention goes to Gremlins and The Grinch.
That's the only one I haven't seen on your list. Gremlins and The Grinch.
No, sorry, Gremlins.
Oh, Gremlins.
Comma, The Grinch.
Is Gremlins a Christmas movie?
Yes. The Mogwai is a Christmas gift.
So Gremlins is the new Die Hard. We're gonna have to debate this. I didn't know Gremlins was a Christmas movie.
I mean, Gizmo, the actual creature.
You have the most intimate knowledge about the weirdest things, dude. It is wild.
It's a formative film in my childhood.
I'm going to work on my top 5 because, admittedly, I heard you guys taking a texter to task who said, please take it out of your top 5. Well, or please. It's a Wonderful Life. Look, wonderful lessons in the movie.
Yeah.
I think because I was force-fed that growing up multiple times, I just don't need to see it again.
That's fine.
But great life lessons. I will formulate my top 5, and we will go over that on the show. We have some in-studio guests.
As long as you put The Holiday on it, we're golden.
It will not be on it. I cannot believe you. It is so bad. Like, corny, poorly written, bad acting, even though the cast is amazing.
You're just wrong.
How are you at wrapping gifts? I have a grievance there.
I am horrific at wrapping gifts.
I honestly feel like when I wrap a present, I have a serious learning disability. I'm like, there's something wrong with you, dude. Why can you not do this? I'm airing a grievance on myself for the people in my life that have to open up the gifts that I wrap because it is just, like, awful.
I have accepted my fate as a terrible gift wrapper, and I will find a bag big enough to put your gift in no matter what that gift is. The gift bag is the ultimate hack for us morons.
I ended up doing that for my final 3 gifts because I was, like, shaking. I had anxiety. I had wrapped, like, 6 presents, and I look at them. I'm like, what is wrong with you, dude? Why can you not even be kind of good at this?
I saw a video on, I think it was like the Instagram doom scroll the other day where it was like Japanese gift wrapping is elite. They only use one piece of tape.
Yeah.
And it was some guy in like a department store in Japan, and he was performing origami basically around a box.
Yeah.
And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And I said, that's an alien. I'm not that person. I could never even learn that.
Very impressive. I probably use 17 pieces of tape.
Yeah.
Because I'll wrap it. It's like, okay, that's sticking out. Go ahead, Scotch tape this side. Okay, now that's sticking out. Scotch tape that side. It looks like a 4-year-old who can't. It looks like a blind 4-year-old wrapped a gift when I look at mine.
Question for both of you, because I'm also, as another terrible gift wrapper, do your guys' gifts come out looking way too puffy?
Yes.
All the time?
Absolutely.
Yep. I almost have gotten to the point where I enjoy seeing mine totally stick out like a sore thumb and be like, yeah, that's mine.
Yeah.
I'm terrible.
Yeah, nope.
Check that out.
The gift bag is a magical crutch for all of us.
Yeah, good piece of advice for anybody that does not know how to wrap a gift. Just go with the bag, put the bow on top, and you're good.
Yeah, Amazon, by the way, if you click this is a gift, we'll send it in a bag.
Seriously?
I've done that before.
I didn't know that.
Here's the other thing. I refuse. I wholeheartedly reject the idea that a thoughtful gift needs to also be thoughtfully wrapped.
Okay, good.
So if someone is just like, oh, man, the presentation here is not, I'm like, well, deal with it.
Yeah.
I
not
got you
giving
your
yeah.
favorite thing.
I'm not giving you wrapping paper. We're throwing that part away.
Yeah, that's getting trashed 9 seconds after you open it.
Yeah.
So if you get a gift from me in a bag, I'm not even putting the tissue paper in it.
No tissue paper.
No.
Wow. Okay.
I'm like, don't look in the top.
Uh-huh.
All right? Be an adult about it.
Yeah.
And I tape it shut, and you're going to be a grown-up and not worry about the fact that there's no tissue paper because that goes right in the trash and is just wasteful.
I feel validated.
All right.
I had a very stressful, anxious morning and felt horrible about myself after wrapping these gifts.
Well,
So
I'm sure that they are great gifts and that you were thoughtful and conscientious in how you selected them.
thank you, sir. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and your family and your beautiful wife and your beautiful kids. And it's been so fun having you on the station, man, for now a year and a half. So thanks for all of your contributions, and I hope you enjoy it. Have a good holiday, okay?
Same to you and to yours. And to everyone out there listening, please have a safe holiday. Have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your family. Hug your loved ones. Keep them close. And we'll talk again in a couple of days. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700.